In the heart of the Philippines, where the sun always shines, there's a tale of resilience in the midst of hard times. Georgian Heidi with courage in their stride, facing down the critics with nothing to hide. Oh, Georgian Heidi, shining bright. In the face of adversity, they take flight. With every negative comment, they rise above, spreading love and laughter through the power of love. On the streets of Manila, they share their story bold. Through the lens of their camera, their adventures unfold. But amidst the laughter, there's criticism too. Your Georgian Heidi, they always stay true. Oh, Georgian Heidi, shining bright. In the face of adversity, they take flight. With every negative comment, they rise above, spreading love and laughter through the power of love. They share their story bold. Through the lens of their camera, their adventures unfold. But amidst the laughter, there's criticism too. Yet George and Heidi, they always stay true. Oh, George and Heidi, shining bright. In the face of adversity, they take flight. With every negative comment, they rise above, spreading love.
Good morning. Are you serious?
What do you mean? No. Magandang umaga, masating abap. Good morning, guys. How are you guys doing? Or good evening to you guys. Masandang gabi.
Ted, Sarah, Bruce Allen from Baguio. We have John Ryder. Bruce, good morning.
Hey,
Tim
Bruce.
Husk,
Bruce
good
Davis is with us
morning.
today. Tim Husk, yes.
George is sitting here eating his cake this morning.
John Ryder, Bruce Allen, Sarah. Ted, hey, Ted. How you doing, man?
Good morning.
Sarah Tyson in the house.
Allowing the room to build up. In a nutshell, we're going to discuss it's not really a commodity. Expats are the worst nightmare here in the Philippines, okay? For the most part, okay? There are good expats, there are bad expats, like there are good eggs and bad eggs. But what we will discuss is other issues that are going on in the Philippines, and still on top of all these bad things, many will agree that it is the bad expats that are actually here. So that will be today's topic in regards to like what's going on with the weather, infrastructure, banking. We were discussing packages, deliveries, getting things in the mail can take months. Banking is really rough sometimes, like getting change. Like every time you go to a store, they don't have change. Like the smaller ones, even the bigger ones have been known not to have the actual exact change.
For those of you who've been to Mexico or not have been to Mexico, the default is whenever you go to an establishment and you give them a big bill, they go next door or other stores to get change for you. It's the same thing here. Just to let you guys know.
Yeah.
And that's normal. What I'm saying is if you see somebody like say hand them like 1,000 peso bill, because that's the very common bill that you will come across.
Yeah.
They'll go if they grab it from you and then go next door, don't be alarmed. It's normal.
Yeah. Basang Kano says, yeah, change is important. I keep coins and no. I mean, we've gone into stores where I told George just to use 1,000 and they're not small stores. And still at some point, depending on the time of the day, they don't have change. So change becomes important, like you said in Mexico.
And actually, and I hate to say this, and I hate to say this because it's real, true life. I mean, most of the time we pay everything online ahead of time when it comes to deliveries, simply because they don't have change for you.
Right. So we decided to start doing like Gcash or take it directly out of the bank account when we're buying stuff. And yep, so that's kind of where it is. And the weather, of course, we'll be discussing. There's a lot, but then in the end, it's going to come down to the behavior of expats, the toxic expats that are actually here, and the things going on, their bad behavior, the sexpats, the ones that are specifically like. I'll have to look in the current. I was just reading the current news. They are still stopping on a daily basis the sex spat guys that are coming in that have charges of being pedos and all that. They're stopping them on a daily basis. Somebody said that the expats specifically come to the Philippines because they're not getting away with it in other countries. And they also make reference to over and over again in the expat forums I was reading last night. They're saying they actually get away with it. No, they do. Also know that they can pay people off, but they're cutting down on all of this.
Well, it's kind of false because honestly, they get caught eventually. It's no different than in the U.S. Again,
Right.
there's a lot of people get away with
Good morning,
evil
Hector.
stuff in the U.S.,
Victoria.
but eventually they do get caught.
Good morning, Peter. So yeah, so that's so ever since I've been in the country, I've gone through like lists of like good, bad, what actually, and this is from the very beginning, and it's been almost 3 years. But with the dawn of the internet, I mean, back in the day, like when you were younger, you didn't hear a lot of expats out of control, or I mean, you have military guys that might have, were they toxic and fighting each other back in the day?
Okay,
The military ones?
during my time, I'm just being honest here. Expats being out of control was unheard of. I mean, literally, we've never heard of it. However, expats exploiting younger children is a different story.
Yeah, that's been going on since the beginning of time, which again, that was the meeting they just had the other day, is that they're reiterating that they're really cutting down on this and they're tracking people down. So we applaud the government on that. But you know, you keep hearing about other expats doing this and that, and the ones fighting and all that. And it is a child's play when the guys are fighting over in Dumageddon, or you hear them here and everything. The bigger problems um, come into other crimes that are being done here. There's scams that go on, like I said, the children thing, exploiting them. So there's a lot. So, but yeah, so that's what's actually going on.
Okay, actually, this is somewhat relevant and important. Somewhat. YouTube News says, I think there are greater tragedies in the Philippines than expats. But since most expats and your viewers don't understand Tagalog news, we don't worry about local tragedies. See, that's the key. Key word is local tragedies. What I'm saying is, I'm not discounting whatever happened to local people. I'm not. However, be aware that since technically this is a pro expat channel, meaning we cater to expats, an expat doesn't care if somebody swindled somebody out of something. That's a Filipino against Filipino. You know what I'm saying?
We cover it.
No,
but
we
there's
do
an actual
right, but
limit, yeah.
no. What I'm saying is, we're talking about more of what expats will probably encounter. Now, do expats swindle expats? Yes. Do locals swindle expats? Yes.
And we have covered this, by the way, but George had me kind of pull back the reins on it. It's kind of like the U.S. They have a bunch of bad things going on right now too.
There's
but
always
there's
something bad going on.
Right. So, and we do try to tell you guys in between when it's something and something's going on, and we hear about this person doing something wrong, that person, we're like, you do realize that it's like 10 times worse, and there's way worse out there, which isn't, like discounting what's going on, but you can find bad everywhere.
Well,
And
bad is everywhere, regardless of what you
country.
think or what you believe or what you've experienced, regardless of what you think.
Right. That's just.
And again, I know that everything I said
Oh,
before.
and we do cover it.
Bad things happen, no matter what.
It's not the first time that we haven't. But yeah, I mean, we covered If you guys remember, a couple years ago, we had covered when they uncovered a child's body by a bridge. We talked about that. We just talked about one recently where the kids were locked in a car and passed away because somebody left their car open. I mean, we do go through some stuff. So, but mostly this channel's always been built on expat. The entire channel, we just had a bunch of people asking about our channel, saying it was pure drama, and I said thank you. We said thank you very much. But for those that haven't looked at the rest of our content, we have almost 1,000. Actually, it should be over 1,000 videos at this point. Where there are expat help. When the country was closed, we did expat help videos, discuss what was going on in the country. George did walk around videos. We did a lot, and we still doing a lot on the channel. And then we had somebody, and I call him a genius, actually come in and said, "Yeah, I looked at your expat help videos, and they weren't very helpful. So, this isn't much of a channel." And I'm like, "Have a great day." So it's like, there's not every channel is for everybody in regards to that. But I was thinking about not doing a budget video today, but going through like different finances, but it's been pretty much the same. Not like our budget, but like cost here in the Philippines. They are on the rise, that is for sure. Groceries and like now that we have the car, it's more money to actually run the car. We have a lot more power outages, so the generator is going to cost like we're using gas, and so there are expenses in between. A lot of people don't calculate for that, but yeah. So right now it's the weather that's really beating down on people.
I laugh because okay, first off, true story, and I'm not making things up. I'm not exaggerating. They suspended classes, hence the bad internet. Again, they suspended the classes because it's too hot, right?
Yeah.
Here's the problem, and I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just telling you how it is. Well,
No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to point to that because you keep looking in that direction.
okay. Well, either way, okay. Now, the problem you have, okay, you suspended classes so kids won't be exposed to heat, right? And I talked to a local yesterday. It's not just me. That's the point. The point is, it's not just me. I talked to a local yesterday, and she said it's the same thing. You suspend classes, they don't go to school because it's hot. But guess what? They're out on the streets playing. And what did you say yesterday, Heidi? After I told you that?
I said, how come them teachers are still showing up at school? Didn't nobody tell them?
Well, that they're showing up for school, and be aware a classroom is a lot cooler than kids playing in the street. I mean, I'm not picking on anything. However, be aware that the reality is you suspend classes to prevent them from going out in the heat. But when you suspend classes, be aware that the kids are going to be out in the heat directly,
Or
which
just
is
at home,
worse.
or just at home in the heat. Not everybody has air conditioning or fans,
Well,
and
that's
some are
another thing.
just
Yeah.
they're just going to be at home. But yeah, it's been extremely hot. The other day we hit close to 120, and that was with humidity. And of course, we have the AC going and everything, so that actually helps. But I did want to mention for those that don't know, I believe it was the Iloilo Airport and Manila Airport, their air conditioning, like half the air conditionings broke down in these airports. People are like sweating it out and everything. They're trying to get them fixed. So it's actually kind of crazy. So they're trying to fix that. And the malls are staying open where people can come in. And like, so if you walk through the malls right now, there'll be people just laying down with little pads and stuff where they're actually just taking naps. Remember we'd seen that the first time we went into the malls? So they're taking
Yes.
naps and everything. So
Now, negative vapes. This is You do have a good point. However, and I say however, and ain't nothing what you're saying is, for example, now guys vape says maybe they're thinking that the concentration level significantly decreased when it's hot, which understandable. No point in trying to teach if they can't pay attention.
that is true.
Well, that is true. However, be aware that I distinctly remember, keyword distinctly remember, that we didn't have fans in the room back then. No fans. If it's hot, it's hot. And you deal with it. I mean,
Yeah, I got that.
no,
People have discussed that the kids, they keep them out for long periods of time, and they do half days now and all this other stuff. So, I mean, I get both sides on that for sure.
that's a interesting, different angle. Keyword, different angle. Actually, it's somewhat makes sense. John Wheeler says, heard they were shutting down schools down and a lot of electricity plants because of hot and shortage on water. It somewhat makes sense. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, that kind of makes sense.
Well, and that's why I think 4 or 5 times this week we've already had the electricity shut off, is because they're having a power shortage. So,
AKB, how you doing?
did you have to think about that? That's exactly why it keeps shutting down.
No. I'm
Oh, sorry.
thinking
I was
about
like,
this. Our water sales are up. Perhaps. Well, I honestly wouldn't know. I wouldn't say yes or no because I honestly don't know.
but
However, odds
Mhm.
are yes. Because the reason being, I say odds are yes. Here's the thing. Yesterday I came across a Halo Halo store that didn't exist before. Halo Halo is basically, if you translate directly, it's mixed mess, which kind of makes sense and doesn't. It's essentially shaved ice, fruits, sweet fruits, and then condensed milk. Then you mix it. And that's why it's called Halo Halo mix. And it's really good, really sweet, really good. A lot of fruit, a lot of ice, and I would say yes, simply because halal stands are popping up everywhere. Because during summertime, which guys, just so you guys know, it's summer right now here in the Philippines. Not necessarily where you're at, but here in the Philippines, it is summer. And halal is everywhere, which isn't normal, which means they only usually sell it in summertime, just so you guys know. And guess what? The first thing they buy is a block of ice. A block, literally a block. The
It
old days.
is, yeah.
Remember when they have those ice claws? They exist in the U.S., not ice picks, ice claws, where they pick up ice with a claw.
They deliver them.
Yes, that's still a thing here, and they do deliver the ice blocks, and then that's how they make the hollow or
Yeah.
snowball. Snowballs, the same thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. And then next. And also I wanted to say on the side, I thought you were going to mention, maybe I missed it, about a lot of people don't have the refrigerators. They just shop day to day. So that's why they would be buying ice out and about,
Right
because
now,
people don't buy them.
a lot of okay. Now here's the thing. Some of you, a keyword is some, not all. We mentioned that in Mexico and the Philippines are somewhat similar, where refrigeration is not usually available. Be aware that that only pertains to certain areas. For example, Angel City, everybody has an AC. Meant refrigerator because it's Angel City, but that doesn't mean everybody has one. Same thing in Mexico. Same thing. Mexico City, for example, I'm sure I would say 98% of people in Mexico City have a refrigerator. In Angel City, probably 98%.
Do you believe 98% of Filipinos in this area actually have
In
refrigerators?
Angel City, maybe. I said maybe.
Mm.
Well, that's the thing. In For example, in other areas, especially cool areas like Baguio. And guys, when you go to Baguio, I'm gonna be honest with you. To you, that's natural cold. That's not. I'm not talking about like ice cold. When you go to Baguio, to you, it's natural cold. True story. I mean, I'm not saying that you go to Baguio, you're gonna be cold. No, odds are it's to you, it's natural. Put it that way. And what I'm saying is, for example, that in Baguio, if your neighbor doesn't have a refrigerator, don't be surprised because to them that's ice cold. You know what I'm saying? We are built differently. Filipinos are built differently. We can withstand heat
I would
more than
disagree. I would say 50% might have fridges here.
no.
Home to
I'm
home. You just said 98%. I had to make you think. It's
well 90% in major cities. Be aware too that refrigerators is mostly a metropolitan thing.
Okay.
So a lot of people out in the fields don't have the the most technology they have is usually a tablet and a fan, electric fan. They don't have a need for a refrigerator most part.
Yeah.
Now, YouTube Noob says, when I was in school in the 80s, there were almost no classrooms for this. See, exactly.
Now I'm curious.
Exactly.
John
Now
Ryder
they're required.
says that private school. Does the private schools all have AC? All of them? I'm
Um,
curious.
well, if you're asking me, and I say personally, the private schools that I have seen do have AC.
Okay.
Private schools.
I don't know.
Now, there's public schools that I've driven by. I mean, because obviously, I mean, it's really not a mystery what I'm saying. If I drive by the schools, you can look at the classrooms. They're right there. I mean, you can see them. Yes, the private schools that I have seen do have AC. They'll The public schools, I would say 50-50. There's a 50% chance they do and 50% chance they don't. I'm just speaking by experience, literally. I'm not talking about statistics. I'm not talking about surveys. I'm talking about what I've seen. 100%, every private school I've driven by do have ACs. 150-50 of public schools have AC. Now, keep in mind, okay, now there's a difference here. I'm telling you from what I have seen, not felt. Now, is there a chance they're not using these ACs? Yeah, it's possible. I'm not saying they're not either, but I mean, I'm not a student, so I wouldn't know.
It's
But
probably the principal's office.
from what well, from what I've seen, again, the windows are shut. I'm sure they were running the ACs. I'm just saying again. Nagave says, "Don't get me wrong. I'm old school. I think kids are soft these days. They're throwing out. No, I mean that's the thing. I mean, I get it. A lot of people like say things to me like, "Oh, well, that was that your time, blah blah," and it was never this hot. Well, now the temperature, I borderline agree. Yes, it was never this hot, only because of the trend, meaning in the U.S.,
Oh, good morning.
it's hotter than normal, right? I mean, we're not going to deny that. So that part I can't deny. However, I remember back then there were no electric fans, there were no ACs in the classrooms, and we were fine, and nobody had a heat stroke. If that makes any sense. John Wheeler,
I see Ruby's in the house. I want to say hi, Jim Owner, Bob Tweed, James Harding, KB. I'm so jealous. A few others. There's people who come in.
Ruby says in the mid '90s when my kids were at preschool, PTA, Philippine Teachers Association, chose to install air cons in classrooms. It was us parents that initiated this in Angel City. Jim Allner says, I know where my wife teaches school, which is public. It is the biggest school in the Philippines, has no AC. See, that's what I mean. Now, keep in mind, the irony is, and nothing to do with the heat. Now, the irony is, a public school teacher makes by probability. Not every public school teacher, or rather, not every private school teacher. I would say 90% of public school teachers make more than private school teachers. It's kind of like the opposite in the US, if that makes any sense. In the US, private school teachers make more. Here, it's opposite. When you're a public school teacher, you make more.
Which is still not a whole lot.
Right. James Harding says my kid's Christian school has aircon. Yeah, and like I said, most private schools are actually not lying. 100% of the private schools I've driven by have AC. Um, huh. KB says, okay, remember these are opinions and observations.
Hey, Black
What I'm saying
Grandpa.
is, for example, like I personally drove around Angel City, and so I would confidently say every private school that I drove by have AC. But what I'm saying is, be aware that's my experience, and what I'm saying is, if I drive somewhere else in a different province or a different city, it's different.
Mhm.
So KB is saying, I'm pretty sure he's saying what you're saying. 90% out of 100 in Angel City do not have refrigerators. See, that's what I mean. I, I mean,
It's like Mexico. They just don't find a need for it,
yeah,
nor
for the
if they're
most part,
shopping on.
yeah.
That is a Western person in the house, could be an OFW, or just where there's extra income coming in that they might do that. So, but
Now, YouTube New, this is a real thing. It's somewhat like backwards. It's like a time machine. When you go to the Philippines, it's a time machine. I'm gonna tell you right now. Music, everything. They play really old music and stuff like that. YouTube Noob says my friends in province in Samar sold ice to many people who only had coolers or foams. Okay, when YouTube Noob says coolers or foams, you ever go to 7-Eleven? They sold those foam coolers.
mhm.
That's what YouTube Noob is talking about. They have coolers, not even necessarily real ones. Like I said, in the US, those foam coolers you buy from 7-Eleven are disposable. That's what YouTube News is talking about. This is normal. They put a block of ice into one of those things and throw in their fish. Usually it's fish because I mean, Filipinos love fish. You know what I'm
Mm. No, that is true. That is so true.
saying? Sorry, I had to laugh. I mean, sometimes life is funnier than fiction. I mean, food is the frosty air before you leave this grocery store, which is why we mostly don't buy frozen goods as far as fresh. No, we buy frozen
I
food.
prefer not to do either
Yeah.
because for several reasons, I still don't get, regardless of the culture, what goes on. The people that like the night markets that will buy meat in a night market, it's kind of scary. There's a lot of Filipinos that won't do it, especially a lot of expats. And the other part is when there's frozen products, I semi don't trust it because I'm afraid that it was when they were unloading the truck or wherever it came from, it was already thawed out a few times. So it's kind of with the
Well,
hot
yeah. I
weather
mean,
going on.
the thing is, in here, speaking from experience again, I'm not talking about something I googled, or I'm talking about what something I actually experienced. First off, I remember my mom used to take me to the market several times.
Good morning, Kay
Okay. And
Dallas.
as I grew older, I drove my mom around literally because it's what kids do for their parents. So what I'm getting at is now beef or pork. As a general rule, I'm just telling you what my mom used to do. Okay. And if you go to the market early enough, keyword early enough, 5:30, 6 o'clock, usually this is the time, 6:30, that kind of stuff. If you see a whole pig hanging or half a pig hanging, odds are that meat is fresh. The reason being, forget like, oh, that pig has probably been sitting there for 24 hours or 3 days. No, because you know why? Because you can't leave somewhat half a pig or a whole pig hanging if it's over 24 hours. What I'm saying is the probability of that meat is fresh because again, you can't leave a whole or half a pig hanging. Now, when it comes to fish markets, look for live fish. I'm not saying the fish you're going to buy is live. For example, if I go to a particular stall, a fish vendor, okay, if I look around and all their fish are dead, odds are their fish isn't fresh. If I go to a fish stall and one type of species is still alive, odds are their fish is fresh. And you're like, okay, well, that only means that fish is alive. Yes, but usually fish vendors get their fish the same time. What I'm
Mm.
saying is, yes, okay, some fish can live longer without water for longer periods than other species do, but odds are they got the fish somewhat the same time.
What do you think about the government importing a bunch of fish to the Philippines? That's become a sore subject that's in the news. They
Okay,
said that with the surrounding seas and everything going on, they shouldn't have to. And it's kind of odd that the Philippines would have to import, was it 25 tons, 100 tons, something? They're importing a bunch of fish.
no, I understand.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like back then. I mean, for example, okay, regardless of what anybody thinks or say, the facts are, for example, pigs in the Philippines are rare now. Back then, they were common. Now they have
Right.
to import pork. Fish, I mean, it doesn't take a genius. What I'm saying is, everywhere in the world is starting to get rare, and people, or fishermen rather, go farther and further out to fish.
Yeah.
The fishermen here only have little boats. The more bigger ones have bigger boats, but they're still somewhat limited. They're not as big as um other countries' fishermen boats. So where I'm getting at is, logistically wise, they have to do it because our fishermen here are not equipped to go further out and fish. These are facts. I'm not making things up. I mean, you can Google's really not a good thing. But I mean, you can do your own research.
Yeah. Ruby said there, when will the Philippine government revert school terms back to June to March instead of during the summer months? Kind of makes sense. Mm.
No, no, no. I laugh because I remember this. This is a thing. This is a Filipino thing, yes. And I remember. I don't know if they do this in the U.S. What I'm saying is, here in the Philippines, if let's say for one day they close down school, you have to pay for that one day at the end of the year. For every day that these kids don't go to school, that they cancel classes, they have to go to school at the end of the year. And guess what? The irony is that's summertime.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They kind of, okay, you're taking away this, it's paying, it's what's that called? Robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of deal.
I
You're
don't know.
just moving the days around, but you're still paying the same years as far as education is concerned. That's what I'm getting at.
They should just change it. That's where I'm at on that.
Well, I
It
I
doesn't make any
understand.
sense to let them out half the time because it's hot. But once again, it's the Philippines. It's really confusing why they do a lot of things. Yeah. Terminal 3. No, there is a bunch of AC parts down in both airports. A lot of it is out of date and everything. AC, Angeles City. So, gotcha.
Atlantic City.
Yeah, AC.
That's funny. Um, John Ryder says I was raised in this type of weather and work outside my whole career. But dang, it's hot.
Yeah.
No, it's hotter than normal, yes. And
Hmm.
I don't want to go into global warming, but anyway. Hey,
Yes.
AA is here
Please,
with us,
please
yes.
spare me on that.
Rice and global warming,
I'm
yes,
sorry.
exactly. So the science says that because,
George, I'm about ready to kick you off the show, and this is your channel.
so
It,
now the polar ice caps. What? What?
I've already sent you to walk the dog, walk the dog. All right, so let's move on to the next thing. Besides the bad behavior of expats here.
Oh, actually, Ted makes a good point. This is actually a good point. Ted says the clearer a fish's eyes are, the fresher it is. Yes, this
Yes,
is true.
that's
This is
another way
fact.
to look
Yes.
at. I just wouldn't do it. If you guys aren't going directly to certain markets here in Angel City where you know it's fresh first thing in the morning, I just it blows my mind when people are out in the dead of heat buying things at 1, 2, and 3 o'clock. The last of it sitting out there all day. because not always is there a bunch of ice that's melted, and I get people working different things just.
Right.
But most expats are already at some point they realize when not to buy something or to be out there early morning, or their wives or something go out and get it early, or
Yeah.
girlfriends.
Now,
And
for
so,
instance, for example, now keyword is we're in Angel City. You may land somewhere in the Philippines where the ports are farther away. Because remember, Angel City's landlocked. Where it's Angel City's a lot like Orlando. It's landlocked. We're not near a port. But even in Angel City, there's a lady that drives by every day. She's kind of like an alarm clock. She yells tilapia, tilapia, and then tilapia is a type of fish. I'm sure everybody knows that. But her fishes are alive. In fact, they're so alive that Heidi has skinned these fishes and they're
yeah, we
still
buy them from
moving.
her because they're moving in
They're
her.
still moving after Heidi skinned them and filleted them. Right, even the filleted parts are still moving. And what I'm saying is, we're in Angela City. We're nowhere near a port. The closest port from us is an hour and a half or 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Yet the fish is here. Well, tilapia is a freshwater fish, so they may have gotten it somewhat closer. But point being, yes, that's good point. Clearer a fish's eyes, the fresher it is. Fresh
Mm.
fish don't smell and have clear eyeballs. There you go.
Right. That would.
Oh well, that's a challenge.
Yeah. Probably. I mean, you would. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
Well, they do. I didn't check further inside. There's that new sports store that's in the mall. I don't know if they got
Well,
fishing
I'm
poles.
sure they
Yeah, I
do.
mean, you can find anything in the
However,
Philippines,
you know, it-
but you're going to find nets and everything. And
here in
that's,
Angeles, it's somewhat harder to find fishing spots. Just saying, in Angeles, I mean, but there are a lot of different places that you can go to or live in. You know what I'm saying? But Angeles is not exactly a place I would recommend to go fishing.
yeah,
Um,
most of the articles in the news today, and one of the worst nightmares here, besides expats, which we'll be discussing here, is I think the weather is brutal here, and now with the heat, it's become more brutal. Um,
now,
And in certain areas, then you're dealing, like I said, infrastructure, power, internet dropping out, but
well,
which
put
would still bring you back around to it being hot, and the mail. So that's another
what
problem I
mail?
find. Right. So getting mail
It
anywhere
does
is a forever there.
exist,
It does, but there's no
but
regular mailman that comes by every
correct.
day like a lot of countries are used to. So
And again, now you'll probably see this when you drive around. Well, people with cars in the Philippines.
yeah, just heat, heat, and heat,
Like
and it
yesterday when I
is.
drove around, a normal common practice here is what they do is, your windshield wiper. When you flip it all the way around, like the windshield wiper, it locks in place, right? And it's like sitting up, not touching the windshield. Whenever it gets hot, Filipinos tend to pop their windshield wipers up. That way, the windshield wiper part, the rubber squeegee, doesn't melt into the glass. Now, I really don't think it'll melt to the
So
glass,
that's why they do
but
it
this is a
because
common practice here that
yeah,
you'll see. That's
I
the
just make
belief
sure.
is that the rubber part's gonna melt into the
Yeah, I was
glass.
trying to figure out why people
Yeah,
do
see,
that.
that's what I mean. But that's
I
normal. That's
wondered
normal, guys.
forever. Yeah, they have
Um,
their windshield
yeah. So
wipers up,
just
and I've
let you
seen
know,
it on the
because
cars.
I'm sure you, when you drive anywhere in the Philippines, if people have cars, they have the windshield wipers. I'm like, I wonder why they do that.
Yeah, I've been wondering why.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean.
So,
um, M Doggy Full says it costs money to run appliances, not rocket science. No, it
right,
does.
I'm
It does.
not doubting that some
Air
families can
fryer.
afford them because that's how I've been trying to figure out how some families can afford the one or two cars in their house and this and that and this and that. A lot of families are all living in one household and they all split a lot of bills. And the same with that. I'm not doubting some of those families can afford to buy the unit. But where it comes in is when you keep adding things and adding things. What was it we seen the other day? We seen a TikTok or a short where somebody showed their 6,000 peso electricity bill or something, and
Oh, it
we
was only
laughed
five
about it.
thousand. It
Yeah, it was like
was. They were
5,300.
so dramatic. They're like, "Oh my god, my electric bill's so
But that is
expensive,"
a
and it was
lot to
five
some. Yeah,
thousand.
it's probably normally 2,200 or something when they don't run a bunch of things, but that's probably part-time AC at night or
Yeah,
something.
and then I read
So,
the comments like, "Have you been running your AC nonstop?"
right.
I'm like,
So, mhm.
dang.
Yeah, it
I wish
actually.
I wish we had a 5,000 peso electric bill. Just saying. Um, Misangano says 25-minute trends is meant to keep prices low. Yes. That in Philippines is getting ahead. That fishing waters are running low.
No, that's true. So,
Everywhere, the fishing waters are getting low, not just the Philippines.
yeah.
The difference is the bigger the country, the bigger it. Remember, every country has a 2 mile stretch that belongs. I put air quotes because that's a matter of opinion, really. Um, two
Hmm.
miles from that country's borders is their territory, which means the bigger the country that's not landlocked, the more water they own. Again, own.
Hmm.
So the irony is most of the fishes that get imported to the Philippines are from China. Um, no, see this, yeah, see GML Oliver is talking about from experience. My experience, Filipinos will not buy tilapia. Fish is fish. They are not alive or at least flopping around. Yeah, you don't go to a stall. Well, there's some people who buy, like I said, don't care whether or not they're fresh or not. In their head, they're gonna cook it anyway.
Hmm.
Um, but like I said, I won't buy fish from a fish vendor if at least one of their fishes is still alive. Like crabs, for instance. A good example is crabs. Crabs can live out of the water for a good amount of time. So I will not buy a dead crab from a vendor. I will only buy if the crab is alive. I mean, you can tell. I mean, because usually you can see the bubbling in their mouths and stuff, and they can move their mouths. I'm talking about crabs as like predator. And if the crab isn't moving, I won't buy it. Just saying. Oh, that's kind of sad. And they only see the appliances through the glass windows. Ruby says some here growing up. Mom went to Pampang Market. Pampang, yes, very popular place. Really hard to drive through that area. Honestly, every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Correct.
Yeah, and Ruby further down was talking about,
Yeah.
or somebody was talking about about driving a manual car here in the Philippines. Isn't that mostly what's here?
No.
What is the percentage of manual cars
Okay.
versus automatic?
Okay. The
It's not
percentage
the
of a
U.S.
manual stock car, honestly,
It's the
without
opposite of the
I would
U.S.
say 85% is manual.
Okay, that's
However,
what I mean.
the difference is I'm talking about realistic numbers, and you're like, what is the difference? Well, guess
George,
what?
you're on a major nerd alert today. I'm about ready.
Well, babe, that's a nerd question because
Yeah, I mean, I'm.
okay, reality is private vehicles, keyword private vehicles, odds are you have a 50-50 chance of having a manual owner or an automatic stick.
Right.
However, most vehicles out on the road are manual.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, like a lot of European countries
So,
and everything. So
right.
somebody asked something about being able to drive one here or something. I'm like, that's most
Yeah,
everybody.
all jeepneys are all manual, put it that way. And that
Hmm.
pretty much constitute most of the cars
Which
out on
is
the road.
another problem up and
You know what
coming.
I'm
So
saying?
they're back on strike or going on strike, and the jeepneys are still in a
Yeah,
lot of
because some
danger.
of you will be like, oh, no, a lot of people drive automatic. Yes, they do. The normal people do that own their vehicles, 50-50 chance. However, people disregard the
Hey, Rocky
jeepney drivers
Raccoon's
and
in the
any
house
other vehicle that
too.
drives up and down the road are usually manual. Um, we'll finish doing shopping by 7 a.m. with fresh meat, fish, and vegetables.
Makes
Right,
sense.
exactly.
Yes, it is
6
highly
a.m.,
recommended.
you hit it, and then you leave. Yes, again.
Now, we did find a company, being we get busy and doing different things. We did find one company that was through Food Panda. Is that the name of the company? Food Panda. They have like a warehouse that's here somewhere. Remember, they have all frozen stuff, and we've tried a few things. Like they had frozen barbecue chicken, and they had some frozen berries and different things, and they're fairly inexpensive. But when they delivered vegetables, it tasted like they froze them and they were moldy smelling. Remember when we got the fruit and you said it smelled off? So it was like a hit and a miss with them. And so we used them only twice. Us, but I mean, the meat wasn't that bad, but it's besides that, yeah, you have to get out super early
No,
early
no.
a.m., or you have to have
I
a
would say
farm
6, yes.
and you would have to be able to process your own meats. And a lot of people do that. That's what me and George were talking about down the road is, a long-term rental where there's a house that actually has enough to actually have our own, but that's a whole nother ball game
Right.
there, processing your own meat.
For instance, again, like when I went to the wet market, I would see octopi, octopus. They're still alive. They're still crawling literally with their tentacles
Yeah.
writhing around. Um, Another good example is you would see tuna, tuna, a whole tuna bigger than a person, whole tuna,
Mhm.
right, hanging on a meat hook.
Yeah, it's a big tuna.
But what I'm saying is, if you don't show up early, guess what? That guy in that stall has enough time to fillet the whole freaking thing. That's what I'm saying. If you show up early enough and you see a whole fish, odds are everything he has is fresh because that fish is not going to stay fresh all day. You know what I'm saying?
You have to get there early. It's
Correct.
like that in a lot of countries. So I can appreciate the fresh markets they have. Um, so that is for sure. Now, as I'm to understand, the other markets in Asia though are a little bit more I don't know. I just in watching videos and stuff, they've got some bigger markets and some more
Oh,
like they're really specific. Like they have tanks that they keep the stuff in. I mean, I know
no,
there's
no,
still
some
them here.
do, some do. And the
A lot of people talk about the Philippines vendors versus
right, right.
going in other Asian countries, Singapore, Thailand,
I'm laughing
and
because there's one thing you will see here in the Philippines. There's a creature called literally a walking catfish. I'm not making this up. This is real. Walking catfishes is a common delicacy here. And the reason why I'm laughing is if you go to the wet market, occasionally you see a catfish walking around on the ground, like just trying to escape, go somewhere. I don't know. Of course,
I've seen cats walk away with the fish.
there's
Okay.
catfishes that walk around. And if you go to the wet market, occasionally you'll see a catfish walking around on the ground somewhere. It's like if so, you see that, don't be surprised. Again, walking catfishes here are
Ah,
a delicacy.
Bruce further down said his electric bill was $450. I believe it. John Ryder said 5,100 pesos, but I never turned my AC off. And he said that's the weather, totally weather stripped condo. Yeah, that's pretty good. Right now, I think the highest we've ever seen at all, but it is only ACing the downstairs because we have
Yeah, we
two
have two
floors.
stories. Yes,
What's the most we've had since we've been here? 8,009, 8,400.
9,000.
But
Yeah.
we run a lot of stuff. So we have
Well, the
the
AC doesn't turn
washer,
off.
the AC is set constantly at the same thing. We
To me,
have a
it's
bunch of
freezing. Be honest with you,
fans.
to me, it's freezing. Heidi
Yeah.
hears it every day.
Well, like I said, you think
No, no, no. I'm
110
not
degrees was
complaining. I'm just
okay.
saying to me,
I got that.
yeah, yeah.
It doesn't matter for you. That's just the way it goes. It doesn't matter. You're going to go the polar opposite. I get it, but I don't drop this to a
No,
temperature.
babe.
But we had a higher bill at the other house. We used to see 12, 15, and 20,000 peso bills. And if you get other people's houses where they have multiple units, it could be 20, 25,000. But our previous place was one room and that was a half a day at 13, 14,000 pesos.
15,000.
But we do run a lot of stuff. We have the refrigerator. We have, I mean, I'm looking around now. We have
Now the air fryer
a
will
lot
throw
of
everything out of whack. The same.
I pass on that. That's microwave, hot plates, tea kettles, rice maker going every day. So we just run it. I mean, everything gets run, the computer, the lights. So we're fully loaded and the highest bill, I think. Yeah. So we get so but it just actually depends.
Yeah. This sign kind of says
So
coral reefs are. I think he meant beaching. So real quickly, those entire ecosystems collapse overnight. With no plan to import fish, it will have a huge impact. Collapse is imminent.
so
Well, this is a worldwide thing. There's something called overfishing, and unfortunately, there's no real control over it. They do have rules set, but you guys know how that goes. Ruby says this is true. That's called makeup classes, which sometimes even happens on Saturdays. Yes,
mm,
and it has happened where we go to school on Sundays. Yes.
Hey, Edie. It's the Eaton
Eden Squad
Squad.
says at my kids' school they will revert back on 2025 to 2026 school year. James Harden says the mayor here closed down the schools because of the heat, but some kids are doing online. Actually, yes, that's the thing they're gonna do. The problem I have with that, not really my problem, but what I'm saying is not everybody has online capabilities. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Any
it became really prevalent in the
right,
pandemic, so
but
people
still, even
did.
then, most kids couldn't get online,
Yeah, no.
and most people rely on what we call load, meaning they have to pay their prepaid plans to pay for internet.
Hmm. Okay. Do you want to? We're gonna continue to go through,
Oh
or
no, that's up to you.
yeah. I just wanted to add that this topic has come up today about the Philippines' worst nightmare and drama and expats. That I will not be the only one alone, and I've been saying it before this past week's issues or the previous one. I've been saying that the I have to put the issues and things that are a nightmare here in the Philippines, the heat, on the occasion, the bugs, the mail delivery system takes forever. If you're getting something, you have to pay, DHL if you want to get it, or FedEx, anything coming from the US. So it does take a while. That's to be expected. Infrastructure, internet, power outages, um, things I'm learning that things take a while. So you go to the bank, it's not going to be a 10-minute issue. You could be there for an hour. Those type of things is something you adjust to. It takes a while. But in my personal opinion and others is that the worst nightmare here are the drama toxic expats. And the ones that get into the YouTubing, that's where a lot of them fall into. But even without YouTube, we see them on Facebook. Okay, so the forums over on Facebook, it's like soon as someone comes in and asks a question, they're all over the guy. And I was saying that a couple years ago that I noticed if you just ask something simple, they just rip you apart. Doesn't matter what it is. So they were toxic over there. They were toxic on YouTube. And it's even in public, it can become that. Okay, we keep hearing over and over again that there's a toxic group all going on here in Angel City area. There's a big toxic group thing going on in Dumaguete, chismis and gossip and rumors and hate, and it just goes around and around and around. So a lot of people plan in advance that they're not even going to. I mean, how many times have we heard people that'll message or just talk in our rooms or comments, and they'll say, I just avoid other expats. And I didn't hear this from any other country that I've actually been in. It just, I'm still trying to figure out why here. Okay. And that's why Georgia said, and many other YouTubers say, don't get into YouTubing because of this and that. And then
Yeah,
it
do
just
yourself a favor. Don't do YouTube.
so it's for us, we're not going to give it up because we have so much invested in it now, time and editing and types of videos, and it's just where it's actually at. But I will have to list, and this may offend a lot of people. It's the other expats that I feel is a problem. So now, with the past week, the things and the messages coming in, I would have to agree that now more than ever, I see that there's a bunch of super toxic, non-informed, rumor spreading people on the internet. That is for sure. So it's just going around and around and around. So
No, the thing is with bullies. First off, I'm gonna be honest. I never had any problems with bullies because usually I take care of that first of the year. It's one of the things I did when I was a kid.
the first of the year.
No, the first day of the school year,
Oh,
I took care of the bullies, so to speak.
gotcha.
They can't pick on me ever, ever, ever. So anyway, um, I have more respect for school bullies because at least they're there.
They show
They're
their
in
face.
front of you.
Hmm.
They're confronting you. Cyberbullies are a different animal.
They are.
They hide. behind the keyboard, behind the monitor.
99.9.
And like I said, I have more respect for school bullies than cyberbullies because
or what we're doing. We actually show our faces, unlike
Correct.
the ones that actually, and so in saying that, it's, how would we actually put that? They're just never going to show their face. So,
Right.
and when they can't get at me, then they go after George. If they can't get at George, then they're just going to keep spreading a bunch of lies, hate. And that goes for a lot of vloggers. I'm going to tell you that right now. This is not the first incident where a bunch of stuff is made up. So that is for sure. So toxic. Very, very, very toxic. And I called this stuff out throughout the last couple years that I thought it was because I was a female expat, and it was like, yeah, of course. So, and that, I lost my train of thought there. That when I tried to say hello to people when I first got here, I just thought it was because of the pandemic. They were afraid to talk to people. They are all masked down. I thought it was maybe because they had their wives or girlfriends with them. I thought that, being there's only a 1% woman that are American here or Western women here. Maybe it's 2% that are here, but it's not very many. So is maybe why they wouldn't talk to me. They group me into a group like they're grouping me into a group now. We were discussing that, and I would hate to even get into that. Here, 1 second. I need to consult with you. I'll leave that out. So a lot of guys keep saying when they walk past people in the mall or out and about, we're still hearing this as of the last few days, that these other expats are not even saying hello. And it makes sense. It makes sense because they've had a bad experience. So just a super bad experience.
Yeah, now again, I'm gonna.
It's not the Filipinos; it's the expats. The
no,
country is
the
fine.
worst enemy you have here are expats, which is again, I hate to say it, but try to stay far away from expats here, whether online or not, unless you actually personally know them. I mean, there's a lot of good people out there. I mean, don't get me wrong, but the problem.
No, there is. There's a
Yeah.
lot of good expats.
Now, there. Remember, with everything positive, there's a negative, and what I'm saying is, for example, John Ryder. I'm gonna plastic the windows I didn't use. What he's saying is he's gonna seal the windows he doesn't use in his house, so that way he can use the AC more efficiently.
Yeah.
However, here's the problem with that. Again, I'm not picking on John Ryder. I'm just saying, for example, why didn't we do that, us personally, or why didn't we ever do that?
Well, we did have something over him
Well,
one
but
time.
not plastic. And you're like, why? What's the problem? Because sometimes you do have something called a brownout, which means there's no
We need the
electricity.
windows open. That's what
Correct.
happened.
Then you have
So
to
we've
crack the
done it
windows
to an
open. Yeah,
extent.
so it's
So what we paid and taped up and spent money on, we had to rip down several times. And I'm like, yeah, we're just gonna stop doing it. But our electric bill stays about the same.
yeah. I mean, we have plastic on over certain windows, yes, but you can't do it to all of them because when the power goes down for an extended amount of time, if you
they
don't,
have to
if you're not
have-
going to run a generator, because most of the power outages we've experienced is usually late at night, and it's cool already, so we don't usually break out the generator at nighttime. But in daytime, when there's power outage, yes, we'll break out the generator. And if you don't have a generator, you're gonna have to open those windows. It's just one of those pros and cons things you have to deal with. If that makes any sense, you know what I'm saying? YouTube News says electric rates have really climbed in many parts of the USA. 150 bill is about average for a 500 square foot apartment.
Mhm. No, ours was a couple hundred, but we were constantly running washer and dryer, AC, because the animals were in the house back in the day. And so, yeah, it just depends.
Yeah, see, that's about
Yes.
right. Back in February. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say she runs hers at 23.
Yeah, see, that's about right. Yeah.
Right, but babe, I set mine at 26 and you say it's freezing. Kind of, she runs hers at 23. So
Well, that's not a real temperature. That's a setting.
I got that, babe. But if I dropped it to 23, it probably definitely would be super ice in here.
Well, first off, this is bigger than a typical Candy Palace condo downstairs.
I got it. I'm just saying. That's the setting I've seen in a lot of the houses is 22 and 23.
Right, but a setting isn't
And
true temperature. That's what I was getting at. It's just a
okay,
setting.
all right. So are
Because a
you
lot of people like, no, 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 no. It's a good.
so are you saying it's much colder than that in here when you say it's really cold?
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is everybody's setting could have 23 degrees centigrade, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the temperature of the room.
Gotcha.
That's what I was getting at.
All
Because
right.
somebody said something before, like, oh, that,
Honestly, it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to make a point
no, I
that I
understand that,
try to keep it
but
up for you, and others run it way. I get it that it
it's
doesn't
not
mean
like
it's
it's an
23.
oven where the oven size is consistent
No,
to
I'm
its,
aware, but you're always
but an
breaking it
AC,
down to the
babe,
actual.
because you're questioning the temperature, but that's a setting. Setting and true temperature are not the same.
Okay, and if
Okay,
I'm just
guys,
trying to say, if I
okay,
set it at
real quick science
23,
wise,
where
just
the
real quick science,
problem would
guys.
be.
Here's the thing. Ambient, a simple example is ambient temperature and temperature are two different things. Meaning,
No, and
if you can cook an egg at a certain temperature, it's at in a frying pan. It's not the same as an ambient temperature. You can't cook an egg at the same setting as a frying pan in real life because ambient temperature and true temperature are two different things.
no, I
A
I got
setting
that.
is
You
a setting. True temperature is another story. Babe, I mean, I'm just saying. I
no,
mean,
you got that right, and I'm saying that I have
I
left it at
I
26 and
understand
27
that.
to adjust for you, and
Okay,
then
babe. No, the
it's.
thing is, okay, I'm Filipino. Okay, I mean, come on. Everybody
I
knows
got
that.
it.
You don't have to keep saying, "Oh, it's not free." I get it. You're American. We're two different races. We're two different bloodlines.
Sure.
We're no fact. Some people cannot live in England if they're from Africa in
Yeah.
certain races because their body cannot handle the cold.
No, I got that. Yeah.
Bloodline does count.
Sure.
I mean, babe, I'm Filipino. I mean, there's a difference.
Okay.
Chosen says my anxiety goes up talking about electricity in the Philippines. True story.
Right.
True story. Well, Bisankano says
Well,
Jollibees always have their set at 19. Yeah, because what it is, you can look at the AC and there's the numbers right there. But
nah,
remember, that's not true temperature.
I
Yeah.
think what we've discussed when we talked about budgets and everybody is people feel that the Westerners or the expats here should just pay whatever prices because we're full of money. The problem I have here is the wages they set, the wages they pay, and then the cost that they charge for everything else, aka the rents, the electricity, things that are just basics to the average Filipino is really astronomical. So it's just insane. So
Right.
in other words, our electricity can be as much as our rent here. So, which, you know, it's and then groceries they're on the rise big time. So,
Ruby says, so for our personal experience at Candy Palace, all the guests and residents are friendly when you meet them up on the lift or foyer.
you can answer that. Barry says expats bring a lot of money every month to a poor country. They do, but I think it's because tourists come and go also. So yeah, it's tourism, expats, but it's not what runs the country. That is for sure. It's a big part of be like any country, the tourism and expats that come in.
JJ Bull
So
says, I'm lucky here in BGC. The expats act normal and cordial. No drama from the YouTubers here either. Now, be aware, for example, JJ, the only bull in Asia. That's his experience. And what I'm saying is,
yeah,
whenever
rich areas aren't
I'm not,
immune from that.
you have to pay attention to the source. For example, JJ Bull means he's basically hanging out with a good crowd. You know what I'm saying? Because according to him, I'm lucky here. The expats act normal and cordial, and that means is his circle of expats are good people.
Or people that he
Be
bumps
aware
into.
that sometimes you'll hear a lot of expats say, "Oh, in my area, all these expats talk crap, blah blah blah." That's their area.
Yeah, it's
Take
gonna
into
vary.
consideration location, location, location. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but if you, besides what I've experienced, others have experienced, and throughout the Philippines, it still goes on in those areas. He's just not seeing that circle. And if you go into the expat forums, you read different websites, you will see this all actually exists. So,
Right.
but I don't see it about other countries. I just don't know what it is here. I really don't get it.
I don't either. Michelle says, "I'm glad you're online, sharing information, keeping people safe." Thank you so much, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. Good morning.
John Wheeler says, "Provinces is where the peaceful and great people are."
Yeah, but them expats still end up online too.
AJ
so
says he
just puts them right back into the mix. So they're still in one form or another. Just because they're not doing it in public doesn't mean they're not online being toxic here.
Yeah, happy to be living in the provinces, away from pesky expats, looking to create any type of drama. There you go.
So the best thing to do is, you'd want to surround yourself in the culture, the people, get to know them, all of this. So
Jim Honor says there are no nuclear plants ever built in the United States at least 45 years. Well, nuclear power plants are technically designed to last a long while. Ruby says that has a major part of reducing cost of electricity. Unlike in Australia, we don't have nuclear power plants. Some in the Philippines, no. See, the key word here is no
Scott.
active power plants. There is a Bataan nuclear power plant, but it's mothballed. It has never operated a day in its existence. So just letting you guys know.
I don't think they're actually going to
They
open it.
thought about it and talked about it, but I don't think they will. Because yeah, but
Yeah, sorry. Further down, Slayton Hawes says foreigners have it so good that they need to start drama. What do you think on that one?
no.
There's a science behind it.
The problem is, and again, first off, I'm not talking about the commenter.
I think it's quite the opposite.
Correct. They may seem good, they may seem okay, however, they're not, and that's why they pick on others and attack others.
And I think the ones that are doing these different things and that's all they do. Okay, so is that they claim to be successful and that people's places are trash and other people are no good. All the opposite of what they're projecting is probably what's going on with themselves, and the hate and the vile and the spit and everything else. So
Well, the key word is projecting, and the thing is, like I said,
so there's definitely something going on.
the problem with projecting is, again, for those of you who don't know what projecting means, you see somebody and you attack them for a certain trait only because you see that trait in yourself. Not necessarily that person has it, but it's a trait you have.
Well, here's
and
the
you're
thing.
projecting it onto the other person.
So very successful, rich people that claim their lives are all put together wouldn't be on YouTube every single day or up in the forums. Just they're not going to spend the whole day. They're rarely on the internet because they're doing business or spending time with family. And I'm not saying that sticks to every single person. It's okay on the occasion, but the ones that are like sleeping, dreaming, living about it, and everything else, it's just a major issue. Just shows there's something else going on. He said, "LG, don't fall into the YouTube crowd and do own thing. Never give anyone your direct location."
Yeah. AJ says basically music is serenity here in the Philippines. Chosen One says Philippines got people making life decisions, pay high bill, or get a heat stroke.
Which is pretty much what would happen at this point.
Yes, those are two pieces of toast
Yeah.
behind us. Yes.
Yeah.
Although actually it should be that way, because that way the frown is a smile. But anyway.
Okay. Well, the cats have been playing with it. I put Mango, the latest male cat. He's huge. He's only like 4 or 5 months old. He's as big as Gucci Bear. And I put their toy up that we let him play with on the floor. And he got up on the high counter, went through the top of the refrigerator to get it, and brought it down to play with it throughout the night. Anyways, it was crazy. I was like, put that up so you guys wouldn't make a bunch of noise through the night. They play all night. So, what you doing there?
I'm checking on quick temperature check.
For here or
Oh,
what
it's
it
safety.
takes? Yeah, I seen that somebody tried to show they cooked an egg here, but
Well,
is it
see, that's the thing.
145?
Well, regardless of temperature, the reason why I'm looking that up only because Bruce says you can just go cook outside and cook eggs. It's hot. If you ever see a video that they cook eggs in a frying pan outside, odds are it's fake.
Yeah,
Because the reality is you can't cook eggs in ambient temperature. Not the
we
same thing.
tried and set it out
Well,
here
I told Heidi it's not
recently,
gonna
and
work.
it did not cook a few days
I
ago,
told
and it was
her it's not gonna
112.
work. It doesn't work that
So
way.
even at 112 in direct sun, I couldn't get the egg to cook. George
No.
says, you know, you're wasting that, right?
Yeah.
So it's currently right now it is 92, but it feels like 100, and it's 10.
Yeah, I've seen videos of somebody
in the
cooking an
morning.
egg outside. Odds are it's fake. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. Don't believe everything you see on the internet.
Yeah,
There
and
is a
Hank
science to this.
Sandoval, yeah, that says if you are in Kuwait at ambient temperature, you can cook an egg. Now that might be possible in Kuwait.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
90% of expats don't talk to me at all. 2% asking directions to get shocked when I speak English to them. What?
Right. And
And
the
the
others
others
are
are-
Mormon missionaries, right? Church people. And most everybody minds their business here, but I think with the internet and how the YouTube world is boomed and stuff, it's just with the, all the social media. I think everybody's on top of everybody's stuff now. Every movement, you'd be surprised what we, kind of like I was telling George, we were sitting here this morning setting up the live and doing different things. And like there's a bunch of channels that came through about Justin Bieber and Britney Spears. And it's like something just happened yesterday and there's like 100 channels talking about it this morning. And I'm like, there you go. And you guys wonder why we cover things. But I must tell you guys that I'm sure a lot of you going through your head like, oh, well, you guys gossip and you this and you that. Actually, we don't. We do cover expats when something happens, and we only put out what they've actually put out. And we get it's fair game out there. We really do understand that. But like when we've covered things, it's usually something that's actually going on that they've actually put out. So, or what's actually popular. So we're going to cover the topics that are out there. So forever it was Regular Guy and Mark Thornton. We're getting ready to start on another one here by the next live stream. We're going to be covering one that people have been asking, but I'm going to keep that under wraps right now. And we're going to start checking out another YouTuber. But we also do the YouTube help. So, or not YouTube help, the expat help. We do YouTube help also. We have videos on YouTube also. But we do an array of things, guys. But
Right.
it's, I guess, as they say, it's all fair, I guess.
YouTube News says a setting is a goal. Actual temperature is an accomplishment. Well, no, that's actually a very good description. And
I'm aware.
for the cooks out there, cooks.
I'm just saying I try to adjust for you, and it doesn't matter. It's just,
No, I get it.
You're
And
very agreeable, but I was just saying to the people that I do try to adjust it, and I am making sacrifices to make sure that you're not freezing when you're here and all of that. And so it's
well, again, for the cooks out there, be aware that depends on your oven. There's something called true temperature on ovens.
oh,
It doesn't mean you set your oven at 230 degrees. That's your temperature.
well, that's why people buy those actual things inside, like the big ovens
Well-
that I've used. It actually has the temperature inside.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Be aware that ovens, a lot of them don't have that feature, or that's why you have to use a thermometer inside your oven to know the true temperature.
Yeah.
A setting is a setting. Doesn't mean that's the actual temperature. So if you're
Gotcha.
cooking and it fails, aka if you're what's that?
I would still be curious.
Oh, Michael John says Venus was telling me about being able to cook eggs in Kuwait. Yeah, you can.
Well, I'm asking for a certain reason because I'd be willing to hear from Bruce what's going on.
John Wheeler says go to provinces that most expats are scared to go to.
Well, yeah, that's
Ruby says I'm an exception for Filipinos because I've always had air conditioning running in the house, car, and office. Yeah. Again, consider the source. Again, not picking on anybody. Always consider your source. Doesn't matter. For instance, be aware most of my knowledge and experience is not your typical Filipino. Same thing as Ruby. Most of her experiences are not typical of a Filipino, Filipina. You know, consider your source. JJ Lonely Bull says, growing in Nebraska, we used to cook eggs on sidewalk. Then the temperatures got over 100 degrees. Michael and I had a couple friends that work here, and they cook eggs outside. So hot here. Yes, all prices are going up, no doubt, definitely. Yeah, Barry's here.
where at? There was another Barry, not Barry.
Oh,
the
not Barry in the
PI.
PI. Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
so
a different Barry.
no, it was
Yeah.
somebody else further up. That was the
John Wheeler says I paid almost $9 for 2 pounds of hamburger meat today.
U.S. or Philippines. I miss so many people we talk to. It's hard to say.
Yeah,
here.
we
With
get
expats coming here and all that, was that because that wouldn't surprise me either place.
yeah
So,
either or yeah.
because some things are just outright U.S. prices, and a lot of expats tend to go to SNR and the other place, SR and
Landers.
right, and that's just where it's U.S. prices plus. It's like 1.5 times. It's it's not twice as expensive as the U.S., but you will pay 1.5 to 2 times. And it's crazy if you go into those stores. We've been in there a few times. We just don't think it's worth it. You can still get some American products in the regular grocery stores, but you're not going to pay the way you do in those places.
Well, that's the
It's
key.
really
Is you
expensive.
go to those places to buy American products. Really, to be honest with you, because all of the other
Or in
stores have
bulk.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. But we're going to have to, me and George was just discussing that we're going to start stocking up on water because there's a lot of the dams are drying out and May is going to be really ridiculous. So I suggest we have like filters to filter the water and all that, but if there's no incoming water, that's a major problem. So we actually think in a lot of the areas the water is going to run out next month. So, or we're going to be dealing with where they shut it down to actually control the amount of water. You think they would actually turn it off part of the day just to conserve?
It has never happened to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Not in this area.
Yeah, it's hard saying, but with this major, the dams are
I'm not
drying
saying
up.
it's not going to happen. I'm saying it's never happened in this area. But does it happen in other areas?
And with
yes.
the heat going on, yes,
Yes.
people are going to
It
be
does.
buying
It does
up the
happen in
water.
other areas where they do control the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michelle Vallejo says fasting is popular now.
Yeah.
James Harding, you're lucky. There are a few expats in my new subdivision in Laguna. Most of them have been friendly so far. They seem to be decent guys.
Yeah, it's
That's
not
good.
everybody. I will have to agree it's not everybody, but from my experience and guys in specific areas, it is showing. What is that? Did you hear that?
Yeah, it sounded like mango, but it's not.
Maybe it's the cats outside.
Yeah,
It
could be.
sounded like a kid or a cat kind of stretching and meowing, or
Yeah.
maybe he did stretch.
Morning, Berlin Edwards. Oh, yeah, okay. This is
We've
probably
been
him.
watching a show that's been popular in the US for a while. I think it's into its 8th season, called 911. And it's not 911, it's an actual television show. And I'm into 4 or 5 episodes, got a chance to watch it this week, and it's really a great show. And when I heard that, it reminds me of the episode where somebody flushed that baby and they had to cut it out of the pipes because he's like, it's like 911. There's a baby crying in my wall. I'm like, what so that's what that sound just reminded me of. But yeah, it's really a great show. So, every now and then when I get stuck on some shows that come through. So
Yeah.
pretty sweet.
Barry
back when
says,
we
did
went
they ever
out.
deport that American con man that stole millions in America?
Did they ever deport him? He's probably talking about
Paul.
World Zoom Paul. And Paul is a career criminal that for years was taking money, probably close to 5 million. It was like 4.8 was the initial amount, where it was done over and over and over again. And he was then fled in between his court hearings. They caught him a year or two later. We kind of went through all of that. And he ended up making an inquiry. Somebody said he got married, still unconfirmed whether they're just calling his girlfriend his wife or not. But he made an inquiry on a permanent residency and went in, and they had seen that he was on the FBI wanted list and his charges and everything. And so, as we're to understand, he is still there. Yes. Somebody said that it was over taxes and another issue. They're wanting to send him back to the US, but the process takes a while. And understand when it comes to every single deportation, whether they arrest somebody or not or take somebody in, it's a matter of the commissioner, okay, to actually do it in the end. So there's like a hearing and they talk to people, depends if you lawyer up and all of that stuff. So they'll make that decision, but it could take a while. So.
Sorry, I'm just reading the comments. Isn't the Bataan nuclear power plant outdated and needs to be upgraded? So that's why they won't do it. Well, like I said, it's mothballed and it needs major money. It's honestly it's probably cheaper to build one from scratch rather than trying to fix something that kind of is broken. Again, it's never operated, not a single day.
Ed Lippett further down said that he goes, I'll have to dig the well deeper. So, because a lot of people rely on that, don't they? Because there was a house we were looking at recently that's further out, and that's what they have. They have the well pump and everything else. And I asked you what was up with that, and you said, yeah, it's relying on the well. Aren't those going to dry up?
Yes.
So that's George has been trying to convince me we're just probably going to stay for a while where we're at because there are so many conveniences, like the hospitals are nearby. We could have delivery if we get busy. There's so many options living in a city. And then he talks about what would actually be really bad about moving out. And I never thought about that. Most of them have that once you leave this area. I mean, literally, if we just go a mile up the road here, there's literally some farms on the back side that are still relying on that. So it's not exactly, an impossible. That's the ones I'm concerned, and hence the people buying up the water and the bottles, and that's why we're going to stock up here. So.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking of the underwater caverns with lots of water. It's how it works. Anyway,
And it's like when we use the hose here outside when we go to water the dogs and the plants and clean up outside. I ran that the other day for a few minutes and it still was boiling hot coming out of the hose. It just went on and on and on. And then it never really cooled down. It was like at a so-so temperature. But if you put it on your hand, it almost burnt my hand. The water's hot coming out of the hose. Do you have to think about that?
No, I don't have to think about it.
Why does it not sound right? You don't have to mute it. I know it's unmuted.
Anyway, I'm supposed to be ageless now, but at 100 degrees worries me. 90 plus is okay, but 100 at 4 p.m. hell no.
It's a lot of the country though.
Well, a lot in the world. Everything's getting hotter.
Yeah, it's burning up out there, and it's only going to get worse next month.
Sometimes I wonder about these comments. Dad says I have an ex-wife who doesn't need to see my face. No drama needed. Um, just stay indoors until the temperature goes down. Yes, for the most part, yes. No way. Edward says my son's name is Mango.
That's what we call the cat because of his color. And now every now and then I call him Mango Bit because he just got fixed, and that's what it looks like on the back end.
Yeah, AJ says one of the toast is distressed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to send help, right? Yeah, we've had him up for a while.
YouTube noob. I think Pinatubo spelled the end of the push for a baton plant.
Huh.
I don't think so.
It just came into consideration again.
I don't think so. I'll look into that. I'll look into that. Radar says, recall what happened with Japan's nuclear power plant after tsunami nuclear in the Philippines would be very concerning given the various natural disasters and infrastructure issues in general. Well, nuclear always has a bad rap in any country, regardless of, like I said, country, race, origin, whatever. Nuclear has a bad rap. I'm not saying I agree with it, but what I'm saying is, but in general, consensus, a lot of people are anti-nuclear.
Further down, James Harding, which is about 10 minutes away on there. World Zoom, unless someone is being extradited, usually it takes months to deport him. I spent 6 months in Vicodin myself for being an overstayer before I was deported. I then had my name taken off. As I'm to understand, he's also fighting it, has an attorney. So I think that will also cause a delay. And he's only been there for a few weeks. So it is a possibility.
No,
And they never mention extradition. So, but
yeah, Skyner World says, I see it. The internet for the 40-year-old person living in mom's basement is the only connection to the outside world.
sometimes, yeah. But sadly, some of them are just sitting here. Same thing. Same thing. So I always say the shit rolls downhill, hence why they do what they do and how they do it. And they've been known to turn on their own. Some actually do. It's weird. So it's kind of like schoolyard bullies, the ones that are hanging out with them. Eventually they end up turning on them. And so it's kind of
Yeah. Now, James
on your own
Harding,
buddies.
this is a real thing, guys. The Korean Chinese monsters in Bikutan detention center pay some detainees to refill the ice in their makeshift aircon units, foam coolers with fans. Everyone else is basically lying there. Yes, it's basically
No,
just
I'm sure
an
whoever.
ice chest and then a fan on top, and then it blows the cold air, and that's what they're talking about. Actually, you can buy these on eBay or on Amazon.
Right, but they're in jail.
No, I
They're
know
in,
that. What I'm saying is,
so.
it's a real thing. That's
Mhm.
a real thing.
Especially anybody
Ice
who
coolers with
has
fans.
any
Yes.
money can actually they start to do that. So
Um, check out the Tugbook area. Not many YouTubers out there in the province. It's too close to a dangerous area. If you're not Filipino and don't know someone, you shouldn't be there. There are some areas, again, like I said, there are it's not even we're talking about the US website. I forgot the name. I think it's US Department of Justice. They says don't go in these areas. Talking to American citizens, and again, you see YouTubers in these areas and say, "Oh, it's fine here, it's safe." Yeah, yeah. Which again, be aware that's their experience. It's kind of like again that me and Heidi in Mexico, we made it out there alive. Not joking.
right.
There are some U.S. citizens out there that live their entire lives and they're fine, and yet
Mm-hmm.
there are also some U.S. citizens that cross the border and don't make it out.
So yeah, it just
Right?
depends. So.
Depends, like and
Mhm.
mind you, not all of Mexico is bad. There's certain areas, and we went through those areas. Bad Habit says 200 electric, 200 for gas and water. Summer 250. Sperlin Edwards says, I've been here for almost 2 years. I've met foreigners who say hi, Some nod, and some look at me and turn away like they saw me on America's Most Wanted.
That's what
True
happens,
story.
and
This is a real thing.
that's what we were talking about. I was just thinking about some of these vloggers that are, expats with female wives that aren't exploiting them on air, that just have a simple travel channel, or they're doing very simple stuff, and they will turn on them quick. If they don't like this, they leave nasty comments. It is really unreal to me that adults can go in and make fun of people's teeth and hair, and oh, your audio is bad. Like, it's all negative statements. It's just unreal. I mean, yes, it's part of the game, but I don't get when people have done zero wrong or something to talk about that they would actually do that. So, and as we always say, I have to say this on the side because a lot of people are like, oh, you have the nerve to talk about so and so, and you have the nerve. No, not when 100% they put that out. So, and when it's relevant and current and they did something in this country illegally. So when they still stay here and cause problems. So it's unreal for me at that point.
Yeah, AJ says, trust me, he's referring to that comment that, again, that some people look at him like he's on the Most Wanted.
Hmm.
Trust me, it's a relief for me when that happens. I've been here 13 years. Whenever I'm out about, I'm on a mission to get in and out as soon as possible and go home. I don't have time for that.
Yeah. Hmm. It's going to be the other expats that's your problem. Now, on the other hand, Filipino people are the greatest people in the world. And I must tell you guys about a comment that we received the other day that also it has been said about Filipinos or expats that they get tired of hearing, oh, I'm going to turn you in to immigration, or I'm going to turn you into the police, and I'm going to come and get you. And they said that Filipinos are super thin skinned and some expats are super thin skinned, or they think they can boss people around. And I'm like, people are just going to talk about people. Nobody's going to be happy. People are too sensitive these days. People start stuff for no reason. It's just amazing how it just
Well, it
kind
doesn't matter
of
what you do; they're gonna talk shit about you.
that's just it. Like we were saying, that our stuff started probably 2 years ago. So everything that's, going on started years ago. It didn't start recently. Same people, everything. It's been going on. So, and actually is really irrelevant. Am I saying that right? It's really not even, doesn't even pertain to my moment in life right now in the Philippines. Then when they can't get you, they'll tell a bunch of lies. So, and then they'll try to use this in between stuff, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. AJ says the water delivery guy now limits us to hold 5 jugs at a time, but they come every day.
Huh.
Yeah, the water guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
they come in their tricycle slash kulong kulong. Yes.
Mm.
Um, Michelle says having water turned off in parts of the area, sometimes at random, yet planned. That's important to know. Yeah, it
Yeah.
depends on the area. Yes.
Well, they have to repair things and do things in certain parts, but this is the first year I've seen them turn the electric off all the time. This is the very first time, and it's happened for the last couple of days. And it was about every other day, but the last 3 days, the power has gone off for an hour or two. So it's now getting to be consistent, and it never happened before. So nothing would surprise me at this point, considering the dams are drying up. So
Yeah.
they've got to do something. So
Ruby says make sure your thermostat's in working order, otherwise your electric bill goes up, which makes
yeah,
sense.
we every 6 months religiously we have people clean the AC. So it's been done twice now, and we clean the air filters and everything. So that's probably why it's a consistent bill.
Huh? James
So
Harding says re- regards to World Zoom, unless someone is
yeah,
being extradited, it usually takes months to
yeah,
deport.
that's what I read earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spent 6 months in
No,
Japutan.
and remember, he said, and he told people already when he's been there, as of right now, that he plans to fight this, and he got an attorney and everything. So,
Yeah, he got off the
that
blacklist
just
and
goes
came
to
back.
show you that even with his felony, he still has the option to stay here. So, it is up to the commissioner in the end. Time length does matter. And something for him that happened so long ago, if they do, I'm still thinking there's something else going on, or but if he does really owe taxes and there's a bunch of other things going on, then they may decide to deport him based on what happened. Yes.
Right.
Always up to the Philippine government.
Michelle says at some points in particular country, you'll be getting up at 2 a.m. to fill water vessels for water for the whole next day. The water would run for 20 minutes. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Edward
Yes.
Lippett says they do dry up. He's talking about the underground
Wells,
water
yeah.
cisterns. They do dry up, yes. Not everything in the world is infinite. Aka oil is
We were
finite, water's
discussing that
finite,
in another 10
everything's
years.
finite, yes. For example, batteries, okay. Eventually there will be a point in time where the earth won't be able to produce batteries because we do run out of chemicals to produce batteries. It's just a
Mhm.
fact. I mean, just saying.
Yeah, the resources are not infinite for
Right.
sure. So,
Um
and that's something people need to think about. We really haven't touched upon the things that can go south here. And before I moved here, the biggest part was how inexpensive it was to live here. And this is where George is from and his family's here, and that's the biggest reasons. Secondhand, I'm finding out a lot of things afterwards. He told me, but I'm sorry, it's George. It's kind of like talking to like a daisy or something, you know.
huh?
It's kind of
What?
I just took you with a grain of salt. I mean, for it's like talking to a cute puppy dog. He's like, "Oh, I'm like, he's just, I thought
I'm
that was
always the
just
glass half full, guys. Just remember
right.
that.
So then it didn't carry much water with me. So I'm like, damn, it's hot here, man. Oh my God, look all these bugs and oh my God, the power's out. And it's like it just when it all hits you at once, it's like
Well,
damn, damn,
remember
damn.
also talking about it and experience there are two different
Right.
things.
So then he's like, and I'm like, I can deal with it. And it was like we had discussed that way in advance, but then you just kind of, it's like I'm so excited to get to the Philippines and then bam.
Reality hits.
Right. But there are no regrets about being here. So that is for sure,
Yeah.
except for the toxic expats.
N-
So,
Now, according to Bisayan Canoa, they're gonna do the power plant thing. They said they will do both, revamp the existing one and build new plants. By the administration signed up for the Pinoy delegation
ah,
a few weeks ago. It's gonna happen. Time is all that it's needed.
hmm.
Well, that thing's been on the works for a while.
Is that in the US or here? I kind of missed.
Both, because
They said they took all that off the table again just
well,
recently in the
that's what I
last few
said.
weeks.
That's
They
what yeah.
removed it
Thank you.
again.
I was getting there. Yes, be aware that okay, this nuclear thing, Philippines is gonna flip flop around. It goes, they'll say yes, and then it's like, never mind, and then it'll say yes, and then it'll go, never mind. It's
Right.
been going on since I've been here, like when I was a kid. So just saying, it's one of those things that you'll never really know if it's gonna happen or not, because what I mean, put it this way. The Philippines invested all that money to build a nuclear power plant.
I like what
It's ready to turn on, and guess what? They said no. That's how flip floppish it is. I mean, think it's not cheap building a nuclear power plant, and yet they did, and then they said no. It's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah, just Bruce Harding further down said that he was asked about his overstaying fees. Was he blacklisted or somewhere along the line, not allowed to come in? A lot of guys get back in unless it's something serious, super, super serious. And there are ways, and they stop a lot of people. Most of them are sex spats and those types in that realm. But as I'm to understand, okay, through sources that know a lot of underground stuff, the reason they are choosing the Philippines is because they have been getting away with things. Those type of people that are, the undesirables, and that's why they actually choose because they can get over with things or pay off certain people. But I still think the country's really clamping down on all that extra. It's not what it used to be a couple of years ago. They've just changed over immigration. They just brought in a bunch of new people and did a bunch of things here a couple months back, and they're really trying to revamp things. So, but with attorneys, a lot can be done, yes, and connections.
right. Also, this is a real quick science lesson here, as Bisayan says. Be aware that this is close to the equator. He's talking about the Philippines, because the Philippines is literally on the equator. UV radiation is really high, so the heat can be an issue. Sunburn, future skin issues, another elephant in the room. And I do mention that a lot. To
Yeah.
now, remember the equator. No, the equator. The
No.
Earth is a sphere. equator is here. This is where the Philippines is. North Pole and South Pole. That's why they're frigid, frozen wastelands because they're farthest from the sun. But this is where the Philippines is. So it's closest to the sun.
Yeah, it's hot. I've been burnt through my clothes, and that was a couple years ago. So try to stay double
Oh yeah, that's
covered.
right. That's
Yeah,
right. When
it's
when
that.
when
So
Heidi was driving around in the E-Trek. Yeah, yeah,
used to
yeah.
get burnt, and so
Yes.
same thing here. I still
And
wear long sleeves and
buy a UV
jackets,
umbrella.
but you're still gonna get it. It's
Well,
still
what I'm
hot.
saying is be aware there's umbrellas and there's UV
And I
umbrellas.
get what
Big
you're
difference between
saying
the two.
about the hose. I get all the theory that you were talking about earlier. The point is, it doesn't matter if it was the hose, the outside, down in the ground itself, it's still hot. And something like in Florida, if I'd have sprayed that, it only took probably 30 seconds to relieve it.
Okay, that explains it.
What?
Edward says it's Noah, but my wife did all she did was eat mangoes for 9 months, hence his name, Mango. Maglihi, yeah. What was the word in the US where a woman's craving a certain type of food? I forgot the terminology. Here it's called maglihi, which means it's
It's
her.
pregnancy craving.
Yes,
Oh my
that's I guess
goodness.
that's the
No, it
yeah.
for me it was like breakfast cereal. So I used to just eat it's 3 meals a day would be breakfast cereal, pineapple juice, or eggnog, and I couldn't get enough of it. So it's just I like the pineapple juice.
Yeah.
So
That says cataracts and eye issues are a problem in PI. We use eye drops, medicated eye drops.
that is a problem. So I had the LASIK eye surgery, and it's already a problem in the U.S. Like fans that run constantly here, you're not supposed to be around fans with LASIK eye surgery, cataracts, the whole 9 yards. And mine was done. Geez, that had to be well. It's almost been. I think it was 2014. So it's been 10 years since I've had LASIK, and it's still my eyes get constantly dried out. But they got certain eye drops here that when I use them, it doesn't. It's too much, and then I get like all crusty in my eyes. So you have to watch the type that you use and everything. So yeah, my eyes are constantly drying out here. Even when I'm sleeping in the middle of the night, I wake up somehow. There's still a mess. So I it's um, yeah. And we've been trying to cut, we told you guys how there's like an inch of dust on everything. And we've been controlling it more by dusting more and everything. But we also switched, we have the cat boxes are in the house. So we actually went to a different type of, it's called sway cat litter. So it's helped a little bit. I don't think it was our main problem, though. I think it's just from the stuff outside when the doors are open, but because a lot of people complain about that inch of dust, but I think that's also helping.
Yeah. Now, Jim, I understand. Okay, the nuclear power plant in Bataan. Okay, I've heard nuclear power plant in the Philippines, from what I understand, never been equipped with any kind of equipment. It's other than light bulbs. Incorrect. I say incorrect because again, I was here when it was finished. Keyword finished. Was it ever in working order? Yes. Did they strip it? Yes, they did strip it after they decided not to turn it on. For those of you who are wondering why it was never turned on, remember there's something called the Chernobyl. Remember Chernobyl?
Ah,
When Chernobyl happened, Philippines was like,
mm.
but it was fully equipped, it was fully functional, was never turned on, but they stripped it. Yes. So now,
Hey,
yes, there's
James.
nothing there. Yes.
Good morning, James.
Yeah.
LG, which is interesting, and there were theories on this. Incoming Chismus, a girl who I know said the Viking is going to be back open. I think it's already open. And the manager's wife had paid off the complainants. Everything is back to normal. It's also said that the bar is owned by mafia. Oh, I can believe that. No, I'm serious. I can believe that. You just don't mess with people down on Walking Street that own those bars and everything, because you don't know how deeply they're actually, tied to things. And this kind of ties into the messages we've been getting that every time something happens, Filipinos run to Rafi Tulfo, or they say they're going to report you, and people get tired of hearing you're going to get reported for every single thing. And it just goes on and on and on. They were saying that it's because they weren't getting the local people to do anything, and it's probably for good reasons. About as much as we can say on that is why they went. So they tried to go above the police. I will probably say it's going to be a little uncomfortable for that salon for a while.
Well, be aware that it doesn't matter what country you're in. As Mike said,
Even in the U.S.
one of the Philippine terms is pakitang tao, which means, I guess, the easiest way to say this in English, I guess it's a front, meaning, oh, they'll show it's a raid. Remember, this happens in the U.S. too. They come in and raid somebody, and then arrest some people, and then guess what? It opens back up. This is a normal occurrence in bars and somewhat seedy places. Doesn't matter whether Philippines, Thailand, seedy places.
Okay.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, the police, doesn't matter what country it is, they arrest certain people just to appease the masses. If that makes any sense.
Well, and like I said, I can't imagine it's going to get easy for those girls. That's why I said you need to pick and choose your battles when you only have one leg to stand on here in the Philippines. And I mean against that type of situation. So I'm sorry, if you're down there on the same street, I mean, yes, there's a limit. I get it. But also think about that. They had to have an idea of the connections that were in that bar. They're right
Well,
there.
like somebody said during that live, is that salon's probably going to have harder probabilities of getting customers now because of what happened. Meaning, nobody likes a rat kind of deal.
Something like that.
Something like that. So, will they still get customers? Yes. Odds are these are people fresh off the street. Will they get customers from the establishments around them? Probably not, because everybody in the area probably like, don't go there.
I
blah, blah.
still think with the Korean connection, they will get pinched off. So I still think there's a lot going on.
Well, for example, that I mean, like Heidi says, pinched off.
It's not like the YouTube where there's battles going on and different things going on and people drop out and they stop watching. Yeah, there's going to be a replay of people coming in, changing. Kind of like people wonder how Mark Thornton's channel kept going after things and this. No, people will forget about what's happened in the end. Things will renew, kind of like singers, celebrities. There'll just be a new following the next day. But something like that, there, anything's possible that could go down.
Well, the problem is, it's not so much the girls who work there. The problem is the business owner. I'm not picking on the business owner. I'm just telling you reality. The reality is, okay, the business owner went to the barangay. Barangay didn't do anything. The business owner went to the police. The police didn't do anything.
Then they made
She went to Rafi Tufo, which now,
and they confronted the cops, which is not a good thing.
Correct. So now you have the barangay probably upset with them. The police probably upset with them. And guess what? Who's gonna be stuck with the establishment? The owner. The employees can quit and move on to other establishments, and they'll blend in, and nobody will ever remember them. However, the owner is stuck with her establishment, period.
And I get standing up, but this would be the one country that would just probably not be.
Well, bottom line, don't open a business in the Philippines, especially near a bar, or open a bar. Not really a good idea.
And
for a lot of reasons.
I think that's why people were talking about thin-skinned Filipinos that try to run to Rafi, and I think that's where a lot of our comments had come in.
Rafi is not Jesus Christ that swoops down the heavens and turns your
if anything,
tears
I
into
think
money.
their
No,
lives
doesn't
will
work that way.
become heavier, intruded, and similar issues like that have happened, and things have happened to their establishment, aka some of the bars and hotels in the past somehow just disappear. So
Yeah. Rafi Tufo's never the answer to everything.
no, she jumped over a couple people and said she tried to get help, and now no. So
Did she get a problem solved? Yes. Will that solution eventually haunt her? Yes. James Harding says,
but it's just
yeah, anybody who's been here long enough, like, yeah, she's probably shouldn't have done that. James Harding, some people have been in Bikutan for 15 plus years, no joke. and many have been here for 2+ years. It was bad enough being here for 6 months.
Mhm.
Oh, they held you for 6 months before they shipped you out. Yeah. No, it's rough. It's rough. Especially now because it's hot. I've heard even in the U.S., certain places get hot. So,
I wonder how much a 3 peso ice block costs in detention. It's hard saying.
right, right. Edward says he's in Cebu. Very lucky. They're talking about where our buddy Paul is.
Yeah.
For any expats to return to the Philippines, plan on things that will interest you. Hobby activities keep your mind occupied, not twiddle your thumbs. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, guys, get a hobby. And remember, for example, if fishing your hobby, make sure you go to a place where you can actually fish. Because
Yeah.
again, like for example,
Or
Angel
just
City is not the
diving
place.
and
You know what I'm saying?
Now there are things to do. Again, it's really underrated how many things can be done. The surrounding areas. There's plenty of things to be done. That is for sure.
Oh hey, Michael Johnson says I like twiddling my thumbs. Yeah, just real quick, since we have you on the hook, um, let me know if that's you contacting me on Messenger.
Did you contact
Yeah.
George on Messenger?
Because
There
remember,
has been a lot
we
of
have a
fake
lot of fake
accounts.
accounts, so I want to make sure that was you or not.
We get a lot of videos sent to us on different people. We've been sent a lot of people's names, trying to reveal their channels and all of that. It's kind of like, believe me, there's a lot more we could put out, but we do pick and choose on that. But there are a lot of people, there are so many fake accounts created based on our own subscribers. And so usually most people contact us through,
Right.
what's going on.
Um,
Yeah, nothing. I mean,
nothing
that
new.
was pretty much it, and that'll probably be the end of it. The only thing that we know is that, as he said, just following his words, that they filed something against him. And in watching that second channel that's created based out of his house, what was your opinion about some of those girls on that channel? They look awful young, but they could also be 18-year-olds. So that's the only other thing.
They could be, yes. I mean, I'm not, like I said, it's odd that Filipinos look younger and younger, and American kids look older and older. It's kind of the opposite here.
Right, but yeah. So
No, they look young, yes.
but I'm talking about specifically the one with the braces. Did she actually look 18? The one.
Well, she could be. She could be.
Yeah.
Eric says
That's the
Department
only
of
thing.
State, do not travel to the Sulu archipelago, the southern Sulu Sea, due to crime, terrorism, civil unrest, and kidnapping. Yes, this is true. And yet you have a lot of people travel to the archipelago and nothing happens to them. I'm not saying that it's safe. I'm not saying it's not safe either. Again, remember, depending on who you are and who you're with, keyword also who you're with, and where you live in that area changes everything. But to be safe, try to avoid it, if that makes any sense. See, Eric says, Department of State says, do not travel to Marawi City and Mindanao due to terrorism and civil unrest. Now, for those of you, real quick historical lessons, not so long ago, within the last 10 years, Marawi City was literally leveled. Well, not literally, almost leveled to the ground because of insurgents. And then the government comes in with their APCs or tanks, as it were. There's tanks and APCs, and they had a real war there. Yeah, it's not a place I would recommend.
I mean, immigration, I'm going to let you guys know during the 13A immigration interview, they do ask a bunch of questions, but the biggest thing they'll advise afterwards, they advise that me as an expat, that um, they state that you need to be careful going to different areas of the Philippines. There is crime going on here. So they go through this whole speech with you. And they actually stated that as an American or a foreigner, you do stick out and additional problems can happen. So they do go through a full speech with you during your interviews and stuff. So even immigration will warn foreigners to be careful here. So I mean, you guys aren't exactly in Candyland either. So it's actually, I don't think any country is anymore. So, but I do feel safer and about being here than anywhere else. So, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, yeah.
What
No,
they
no,
tell
no.
you during the
Yeah.
interviews.
No, AJ. Okay. I'm laughing because it's my point of view. AJ says 100% true. Seen lots of expats without any hobbies who have passed away earlier here than in their home countries because they do is smoke and drink themselves to death.
They do.
Now, here's the thing. The reason why I laughed is that's their hobby.
That is
Drinking
their
and
hobby.
smoking is their hobby. And that's why I
Well,
laughed.
that or what we call the sex spats, like that just go and live the life here in Angel City. Some guys will just get a place right here, like they'll get a place nearby Walking Street, and they just live that life.
They just go to
It's
the
drink,
bars and that's their
smoke.
life.
They sleep with these girls, and they keep doing that. Understand at some point you're dealing with a lot of things. There's hepatitis out there. There's a bunch of TB goes around. But hey, to each their own on how they actually pass away. So, I mean, might have been super happy. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Now, Jim Owner says, this is
Swamp cooler.
yes, that is the term they use in the U.S. You're talking about swamp coolers, in my opinion, about blowing air across ice. Did a lot of that in southern part of the United States, especially for about 4 years.
Yeah, they've got them here that are fairly inexpensive.
I did have a swamp cooler. The reason why I had a swamp cooler, I had several cars, but one of the cars that I regularly drove, the AC broke, and as a stopgap, in Florida, you need an AC, trust me. And I put a swamp cooler in the back to cool down the car while I drive around until I got the AC fixed. Yes, they're called swamp coolers, correct?
Do we have one that still survived here? I know we've owned one or two. There was
Yeah, see, Heidi remembers it.
well, we've had two since we've been here in the Philippines, but the one stopped working. What happened to the other one? We had one in the we only bought one?
No, the other
This-
one wasn't ours. It was Michael's.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I thought we had two of them.
Yeah. Oh wait.
If I look it up, I'm pretty sure we
No, no,
own
no, no,
two
no,
and
no. We only have
toss.
one.
Okay.
We only have one.
I'll have to check.
Sorry, didn't get that one. John Wheeler, Philippines like this. Speak to everyone. Follow all the laws in question. Always don't do it. Respect everyone. Give when you can. Don't get loud. Filipinos will accept you open arms. Yes. Yeah. Fact.
Yeah, I know they're talking back and forth.
It sounds to me like time to buy a small house and put a solar and what. Well, honestly, if you own the land, which is the problem, I'm saying unless you have a Filipino partner, you can't own land, regardless of whatever these YouTubers say. Unless you have like $1 million and you can own a company to buy the land, that's a different story. And even then, it's tough because there's laws kind of trying to control that. And for some of you wondering, like, why is that?
I would still put
It's
it.
to prevent. I already did put it up.
Oh, I missed it.
It's to prevent a country from taking over the Philippines. For example, China's next door. It prevents Chinese people buying all the land and then all the Chinese moving in. Just so you guys know.
Yeah. So it looks like we're just going to go through comments today instead of opening up the live.
Okay. Is he saying they deliver 5 times a day? So that's right. 5 days. 5 every 3 days now because of the heat. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it's crazy
Yeah.
hot
Thanks
out
for
there.
clarifying that one. Chuck says, if my Filipino feels that the area is unsafe or decent, uncomfortable in an area, we do. Right. Listen to your Filipino partner. Don't listen to expats because
That is
their
the
experience
truth.
is different.
Yeah.
Listen to the Filipinos. And I'm not saying this because I'm Filipino. Let me rephrase that. Listen to the locals because I listen to the locals. Even though
In
I'm local,
Mexico, right?
right? What I'm saying is, if I'm somewhere else, that's not. I ask again people
The
in
actual people
Mexico,
living in
right? And they
there.
say, "Oh, don't go here, don't go here," and then I listen to them. Listen to the locals. There's 6 of us in our compound and really don't drink soft drinks at all. Soft drinks, soda here is a luxury. Although a lot of people do buy it, but it is a luxury. AJ says Nawasa. He's talking about water on the tap. It's not for drinking. That's basically what he's saying. says Nawasa, water on the tap, is for showering, washing dishes, and now watering the plants. Right. It's again, you you buy filtered water or you get a
Life
filtration
is
system.
just different living here in Asia, that is for sure. Because I was just watching one um, show that had that one woman on ABSN or whatever. Uh, it wasn't, it was showing there was this family and it wasn't head lice. It was another type of bug that's more out in the province area. But they almost looked like little crickets. They were actually living in their hair. It wasn't even lice, it was another level. And it was showing their whole house got invaded by it. And so they got involved. This was like 2 days ago. I don't know what it would have been.
Um,
It looked like little baby crickets. It wasn't, but whatever it is,
let me
it
see.
looked like paste in the kids' hair, like they had to shave the one daughter, but it was in the clothes. They were getting rid of everything in the house. But it was something that actually will live on the human body too, but they were little teeny. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. Actually, I looked it up. I mean, I had a suspicion what it was, but that's not it.
Here, let me see if I can find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like I said, it's a different level. So it is best to listen to the locals or your wife or where they actually might know something because
Yeah,
it's
I'm good with etymology, but unfortunately, etymology only covers insects. Um, Lice aren't really technically insects; they're arthropods. So, and lice and ticks are arthropods, not necessarily insects. But anyway, John Wheeler says, Chuck, true, but if you respect, not get loud,
oh, it is.
speak to all the. Oh, it's not for us. You'll be accepted like that. They don't see you. Filipinos don't go looking for trouble unless you start. By default, I said by default. Most Filipinos don't look for trouble. There are some that do look for trouble, but there's always, like I said, there's always an a-hole in the group, no matter what. Um, don't have a water tank pump installed in your property. This is handy during summer months in the Philippines. The problem with water pumps is actually they do dry up, and then you have to redig and find another suitable spot to dig or deep deeper, as they say. It's not quite an exact science. It's a probable science. What I'm saying is they know where to dig, how deep to dig, and stuff like that. But and then, like I said, the problem you have is you pay these thousands of dollars to have a water pump built, and then eventually it dries up. So I'm just saying, there's always pluses and minuses to everything. Remember that. Um,
Where are the tornadoes? I'm trying to find the video. It was
I'm laughing because there's a TikTok about this. I just don't like the 12-foot tall bugs, the ones that fly your face. Normally, the cockroach variety. They have in the U.S. they call them palmetto bugs. They're roaches. They're about this big, and they fly straight at you. Oh my gosh! I'm pretty good with touching bugs and everything, but trust me, when a roach flies at me, even I react.
yeah, they're
Yes, the
flying real
roaches are
low.
huge. No joke. They're no joke here. Yes, they're huge. Like, um, do German roaches exist here? Yes. Are they common? Depending on, it's kind of like the U.S. Depending where you live. Um,
There you go.
Colt 45 says humans will run out too. Yes, eventually, especially nowadays. Ah! Ah! Oh, I love you guys. CVGV says Duterte would fix this climate mess.
Yeah, that
We
would be
wish, right? I mean, we could
interesting.
only wish. Jim Muller says this
Yeah,
has not happened this year. Brian says I haven't filled my pool once this year in Australia because it's raining so much. Oh, good. That's good. Rain is always good. You know. Ruby says best to attach 5-layer water filter to it too. Oh,
mhm.
she's saying 5. We have a 3. Well, 5-layer. She said layers, not cartridges. We have a no. That is 5 layers. Yes.
Yeah, I can't
because
find it.
there's 5 types of filters. Yes, I'm not going to go through the signs of whatever each one does. Yes, one of them is carbon, one of them is a physical filter.
Yeah,
Yada
so
yada
ours
yada.
is actually 3, and it's been
No,
really
it's
great. We
5
have.
layer. It is 5 layer.
Oh, is it?
It's 3 cartridges, but one cartridge has 3 in it, so it
Gotcha.
is 5 layer. Yes. Um.
Yeah,
Yes.
we've been good ever
Salem
since.
says paglihi. Pregnancy craven says yes. Pineapple juice is good. Averaging temperature over 100 degrees here in Pangasinan. I see Filipinos dress up like it's freezing here, riding in their scooters and motorcycles. He's saying they're riding jackets,
I
thick
think
jackets.
I don't know why they have to wear them so thick, but I know a lot of them is actually wearing them to keep from being burned. And then, yeah, when it drops by 10 degrees, they do freeze. So that's
Well,
a
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure about that because when I remember when I was a kid all the way through high school, I wore a thick jacket. Not because I'm scared to get burnt. It's just to me, it was a fashion thing.
it's kind of hard saying.
Yeah, I mean, to me, again, I will always wear a jacket, a thick jacket at that. Yeah. Michelle says I've grown pineapple, easy to do.
Good morning. Thera's in the house. Great coverage on that Brian vlog, and that was really good.
Oh, okay. Michael Johnson says there's an enzyme in pineapple that causes that, hence it makes good meat tenderizer.
Yeah, it's used in a lot of things. I was hooked, like I said, on the eggnog cereal. So it was one of my weaknesses. And grilled cheese.
Oh. KB says feel it's at 10:45 a.m. Tuesday, like with humidity is 100. Oh, right, with humidity, yeah, feels like 102 degrees in Pangasinan. Yes, they did do a police raid. Yes, I think only the health department thingy people shut it down.
Yeah, and there was a question on that too. They know there was a bunch of stuff going on, but they shut them down for that violation. So, like somebody said, they think there'll be a lot of smoke blown for a while. And then, like I said, the woman doesn't realize it, but I can see it. I know what's going to happen to her afterwards. I mean, we can all about figure what's going to happen on that street. She's a small business too.
She'll
And
eventually leave. Yes.
yes, just where it's at.
In all probability, she'll leave at the end of her lease.
And we're not talking about a little bullying on YouTube where people think they can just run people off. Some do. Some actually drop out. Some will actually shut their videos down and the whole 9 yards. But something like that in physical area with the Koreans and the other bars they may have influences on and their influence there.
Well,
Obviously,
you have
money will
to
talk, and they've definitely got more money.
even in the U.S. again as a business owner, former business owner, and I had a physical store and everything. And for those of you who've owned businesses, physical stores, I'm not talking about the pool guy because the pool guy just usually lives at home and then goes out and cater. I'm talking about people who have businesses that have physical buildings.
Mhm.
You guys have to be aware. It's kind of like an HOA. There's in that area. There's always an agreement, whether written or unwritten. That area has an written or unwritten agreement. They have some form of. The best way to explain it is an HOA where everybody knows everybody, everybody's business kind of supports everybody. So since one of those people in that area decided to rebel, be aware that odds are the group will turn against them. It's just the way it is. I mean, it's human nature, regardless of area. To make it worse, it's the walking street area, which is like somebody says it could be owned by mafia. You know what I'm saying? Um, Ruby says Vikings issue only has health violations with ordinance, so they went to comply with requirements, tick off all the boxes. Business will be back in operation. Yes, that's how it works. Yes.
CBGB, Mark Thornton was wrongly accused. Okay, well, this will come down like anything we've said on this channel. It's him that put his own information out, so I don't know how he was wrongly accused.
He's the one who confessed to what he did, and that's what we stated. It's not so much
I
as
wouldn't say wrongly. He confessed to his own deal.
right. He
So
it's his own words, and we said
Now,
he shouldn't
could
have
he
done
have
that.
been harassed and bothered
Prior
the
to that,
way that some people do
it's
and
possible.
caused a reflex? I did tell Georgette,
It's
what was it,
possible.
yesterday? What did I
Yeah.
say? I get it because it's hard saying where things would have, led and everything. And I get it. He says the harassment's been going on for years. But at this point, it will be for the judge and all of that to go through. But um, we said this before, probably with an attorney, there's not going to be any problems. So if he just lawyers up, I'm sure that he could take care of this. So, but
Bruce Thomas says police are in Vikings pocket, still doing nothing. I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would answer that. I want to answer that real quick. Watching the PH train wreck. Looks like, and that's even if you're still in here, you probably just put that in there and ran. Why are you avoiding your rap sheet antics?
The rap sheet.
The rap sheet. Oh, sorry. I thought it was a rap sheet. Can you cover the big news about what?
There's nothing to cover.
Nope. So we already said our piece on that. And I must say on the side, for those that are actually listening, and I'm sure you guys have been paying attention to what's going on. One, pure lies on George. Two, I already admitted to 19 years ago. And three, I haven't done nothing in this country. And let's add 4 and 5. I've already dealt with immigration and we already have an attorney. You're not running me out of this country, and you're definitely defamating George at this point.
Correct.
So the fact they're now saying we are a felon couple and other people are going on, you're totally incorrect. So
Right. I'm not a felon, never have been. However, be aware, even if I'm not a felon, I'm saying I'm not a felon, but I don't look down upon felons because people
and
are
most
people.
people don't. I
People
don't
are
know.
people, regardless of what they've done in the
And we
past.
said this a long time
Right.
ago. We've been saying this for years since we've been doing this channel, and it doesn't change our channel at all because we've been contacted a couple times recently saying that people are saying things. And it's like, well, first off, we don't watch. We only watched one channel a few times because they've been defamating us for a while, even before this broke out. And secondly, uh, on that, that's not going to change our channel or what we keep on doing. And they're like, oh, they don't have the right to judge because they're both felons. Just a bunch of lies. We said our piece on that. It was 19 years ago. So, and it's not me discounting it. Only I know what I went through, and it's already been explained to our people, and that's all that matters. You can keep on all you want because we know the crowd is in here. We know the channels that are doing it and have been doing it for months. So you exposed nobody. Don't say, oh, she had to tell this and she's still lying because we told the day before. You've been saying it. You've been running your mouth on the channel. So game over. You have nothing. And I'm positive about that. And that goes for our people because they're still lying.
Oh, you
Oh,
have
that-
to. You have to do that. I can't do
Gotcha.
that. Yeah. Let's see. Where was that? Wow. Really?
What? We're already at the bottom?
No, not quite.
I gotcha. Oh, it doesn't matter. Somebody can ask my weight. I've already put it online, so what does it matter? Just-
James Harding says for a big fee, the ice blocks are delivered daily to the
And if
detention center in
that's-
bulk, specifically for the mobsters with their ice cooler fitted.
Oh, and funny thing is if I'm correct on this, let's see. They're either using a fake account.
Yeah,
Or
they're trolls. I mean,
No, Gomez Marcos is that guy that we did a video chat with. And he says he's not trying to be rude, but how much do you? Or where's your brain capacity? Or
Hey.
what would be the reason? Sorry. He wants to ask stupid questions, get stupid prizes and so forth.
Right.
I mean, come on, give me a break.
Right. This warning about Sulu has been in place since early 1990s. If you go, let tourism office know you're going and check in as well.
And basically, okay, basically that's all you guys had before, and now you think you have something that's 19 years old. I mean, I was hoping I'd get to address that again. First and always for months, your channels have been calling me fat because that's all you had. Now you think you've exposed, and when you couldn't get to me, now you keep going at George.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of which, yes, thank you, Michael, for verifying that was you.
okay, so that would answer that.
Oh, okay. LG says I commented on Omar's channel to deliver the smoking gun evidence to Rafi's people in person since they are in Angeles. But dead silence. Well,
Over the Viking bar
they
or something
were.
else?
Well, I don't know, but were in Angeles City. I mean,
Yeah. And I don't think, I mean, we know that he does help a lot of people, so I don't want to say the man doesn't, but understand it's a talk show too. It's still a show. He is the highest YouTube channel and paid. Right now, I think they said he's at like 1.5 billion pesos. He's been paid for that channel. So you really don't think he's not going to bring it's just where it is on that channel.
right. And this is a comment on the Marawi thing. ISIS and Pinoy separatists tried to make a selfie in Marawi in 2017. House to house fire left it look like Fallujah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, Marawi is almost completely rebuilt. Keyword rebuilt. No, it was practically leveled. Yes. Where's regular guy? Did he stop making posts?
Well, he's been known to, I haven't checked, but according to sources, he dropped a bunch of his videos. And according to sources, it's been a while since he made them, but he has been known to go long periods of time. They're saying that he's laying low because of his attorneys. That's all I can say is where the sources are coming from. So
Right.
I know there's just not one thing going on. So it's not an unknown that they're saying that regular guy's been defamating Mogman, and then there's something against him over that. So he's running from that. Then they're saying regular guy is trying to sue Andy Omar. Then they're saying there's something. It's just like all over the place. So it's kind of hard saying why he's laying low, but there's a
Well,
lot going on.
key word, it's expats suing expats. Eric says, I'm not
Yeah.
making judgment. I was just posting what the current do not travel locations to
Well,
Philippines
like I
according to
said,
Department of State.
immigration
Yes.
told me for the 13A during an interview, they warned me of where to travel and to be careful as an expat. But they tell a lot of people that. So if immigration is telling expats that, that'll tell you something. So that's all I was adding is what they say in the interviews to us. To be careful.
Yeah, Bisankano says 10-cent cigarettes and $2 long neck bottles of rum will melt you away.
Right.
Yeah.
It does happen.
Yeah, I would hope
That is-
anybody who owns those, they need to maintain them. It is a cooler. Swamp coolers get moldy if you don't take care of them regularly.
Okay, but
Breathing spores ain't my
that
thing.
was the problem we had with ours when we used those during the day. Like we used the AC at night. We did use that in the daytime at our last place. You were constantly cleaning that filter. It was nasty.
No,
and it is
you
a pain in
have
the
to be responsible. Otherwise,
butt. Daily cleaning, but most
yeah,
people
you have to
don't
clean
go
it.
through
Most people
that.
don't clean them. Yes, you have to clean.
Like the one that was at the Airbnb, wasn't that in bad shape when we
It
went to go
broke.
use it? Yeah, but it was in bad shape when you went to go
It was
use
in bad
it.
shape already. Yeah, but yeah.
It looks like nobody cleaned it. So just
No, yeah.
they're just
There's
one
something
night
called
guests.
maintenance.
Right. And the actual guy that owned the house didn't do it.
Do they work? Yes, but I mean,
Yeah.
and they're
so it's
cheaper
kinda
than
crazy.
AC, but it won't. It's only good in front of you. I mean, if it's not gonna cool down a room. You know what I'm saying? Oh dang! Sperlin says, when my daughter was living here with me, she says it's so hot, it feels like the devil's breathing on her. Dang.
That is the truth.
Oh yeah. Speaking of hot, guys, I always mention this, and I know it sounds silly and stupid for me to keep mentioning it. Always rent a house with a ceiling.
That's true.
I'm not joking because it's times like these when the ceiling counts. Remember, your ceiling is the one that stops the heat emanating from your roof to you. So without a ceiling, remember, ceiling is not a roof. A
Mhm.
ceiling is that wood layer that before the roof. If your house does not have a ceiling, you will literally baking inside your house.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I know.
Yeah, I was just answering someone here a
Yeah,
minute.
locals knows best. Yes, they do.
Yeah. Basically, I was going to say for years we've been providing expat help. People have been videoing with us. We've been helping people, and we have like a bunch that are in our messenger now that we talk to through Facebook, through our other social media. So if you guys see some stuff that you would like to talk to us about, then these people can message us, like like our regulars, if they ever have any questions. We are not like the other channels that just ignore, and they're out there. You know that if you try to message Mark Thornton about what's going on, he's not going to answer you. If you guys directly, as our regular viewers that we know, what? No.
Right.
No, George was just questioning me. I was like, no, if some of these rumors are going around, like George being a felon, ask us about it. We're going to tell you. So they keep saying the more we tell the truth, the more they keep trying to flip things on us. So, and they're just going to keep adding stuff because they have nothing better to do. So just ask, guys. We have had a few people ask, we answered.
Right.
So, same people that have been loyal viewers for years. And I just had to talk to somebody last night because they tried to go over to Sunshine's channel and Sunshine turned them out. So, it doesn't change his mind. It didn't change the mind of 98% of our viewers. They think it's damaging, but they can just,
Right.
yeah. So, but they thought they could turn and tell lies about George, which is totally
Correct.
false.
No,
So,
I've never been a felon ever, ever.
so
All I
no.
have are tickets. If any of you hear anything more than that, then it's
Yeah.
false.
So I said, please let us know. And
Mhm.
we'll know if it's our regular. So,
Um, Eric says silence cracking down on business ownership of property to circumvent the law. Too. Right. Again,
mm-hmm.
a lot of times the companies come in, swoop down, and buy property to go around the law to buy property if you're a foreigner. Yes. Ruby says again on the ceiling thing. She actually mentioned it. If you're building a house with your Filipino partner, make sure you install insulation on your roofing, walls, and ceiling, high ceilings if you can. This will help cool down your place considerably. Correct. No, no, just a fielder, not locusts.
I don't know. I
Are
tried
they?
to find
Could they
it.
be locusts? I mean, it could be a
No,
it could be a different variety. I honestly
whatever
don't know.
whatever these
I
are,
don't I
they
don't think they're
look
locusts.
like
I don't think they're
they're
locusts.
not head lice. And I know it looks like a waxy substance in their hair and their clothes are infested with them. They almost look like praying mantis or something. They're kind of a longer bug, but I don't know what they are. So, but it was just in
Most
the
bug parasites are arthropods, and again,
I
arthropods
don't know
don't
what it
fall
was. I
into
tried to find that,
they don't
just
fall in
kind
the
of,
insect family, so I don't know what they are.
yeah.
Um, Michelle says crickets in the hair certainly different level. Neem, I spray myself with neem. She's talking about neem oil.
Uh,
Don't do that. Okay.
what kind of idiot did that? A man who kicked a buffalo in the leg was then injured by the animal at Yellowstone Park. It just came out in the news,
Why the
literally.
heck would you do
Why
that?
would you walk up and kick on a buffalo?
Buffaloes are dangerous animals, guys. I mean,
Yeah, but they never hurt anybody. I'm staring. The guy got arrested for kicking him at Yellowstone Park.
well, of course he got hurt. He kicked them. I kicked back too. I'm just saying.
But you have to ask yourself, what idiot would actually kick an actual buffalo for
That
what
idiot.
purpose? I guess
Uh,
he's facing multiple charges now. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Peach Pepper says I thought Kuto was Taglish for. Well, it's not Taglish. It's actually the Filipino term for head lice. Yes, Kuto.
Yeah, I don't think that's what it is, but maybe it is. Maybe it's just some oversize.
Yeah. Michelle, on a serious note, she says she'll look it up and she'll probably use lavender or eucalyptus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, not the not neem oil. Um, technically, can you use neem oil? Yes, but you have to wash it out. Yes, Michelle, palmetto bugs, exactly. Those big giant roaches. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, Thora says, "I'm glad I didn't go for the water pump. Had to redig this summer."
Uh,
Yeah. YouTube News says, "I was wondering when someone was going to mention Marawi City as a place to avoid expats." And forget the expats there. If avoid Marawi City, period. Just saying. Have the expats lived there? I'm sure they have. Have they lived happy lives? I'm sure some of them have. I mean, but again, I'm not. Remember, I don't talk finite terms. Keyword. Some have. I never say all. You know what I'm saying? During Pinatubo in Macpal Village, they deep fried those bugs for food source.
oh man. Hey, throw a little barbecue sauce on it.
I think. Oh, I think you're talking about crickets. Crickets is a delicacy. Um, yes, you can deep fry crickets and what's the other one? June bugs. They call them June bugs. If you decide to eat those, they taste like you're eating a soft peanut. That's the best way to explain it. Um, you can eat them in the U.S. I've eaten them in the U.S. So there are some places in the U.S. where they sell them. Yes, cricket's flour is a thing. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Where-
I don't recommend personally. I don't recommend anything made out of crickets. I'm just saying. I'd rather eat a cricket than eat a food derived from a cricket. Somehow eating a cricket tastes better. Just saying. Just saying. For those of you wondering. Ernie says NBI needs to book RG before another father, mother, child gets used by RG, regular guy. A 50-year-old man stalking 17, 18-year-olds is not normal. Nobody in USA or Canada goes around stalking young girls.
If anybody will take them down, then it would be immigration and those departments. Yes. If they find all the proof's been turned in, then yes. So
Yeah. YouTube news. So you drink tap water filtered? Yes, filtered water.
yes, we've been doing it. So
Can you literally live off tap water? Technically, if
don't recommend it.
yeah, once you're accustomed to it, you can live off it, but we never
That's
ever
right.
recommended
Hey, I remember.
unfiltered tap water.
When we first got here, we either did bottled water, had the big blue jugs delivered, but then that got old because they were inconsistent. Most of the companies, even the big companies. So, and that was during the pandemic. We were locked down forever. And so then we brought a pitcher with us that we used forever, but then you're talking about little bits of water at a time. And then we finally ended up getting a Westinghouse and it's attached to our sink. Now they have whole house systems that people do install. Right now, I think we spend $10 every 2 or 3 months is
Right.
what we're using right now.
Yeah. Now some of you or may have heard that the Philippines have, when you speak one language,
There it is. So what is that?
it looks like lice. Yeah, kuto, lice.
Okay.
I
Well,
guess
why are they so big?
it's just a different variety. Yes,
What the
it's still
what?
head lice. Yes.
Jesus
Yeah, it's kuto. It's head lice.
criminy.
It's just a different species.
Yeah, but how can it be that big?
Well, because they let them grow. They do grow. If you let them, they will grow. Um, Now what I'm saying is, be aware that language is different languages, and you can't see
Yeah,
that.
they can see it. You just seen the size of it a
Oh,
minute
they're
ago.
burning
They're
them. They're burning
huge.
them.
See them?
Yeah.
Okay. When I worked in a salon, I've seen them, but not that big. Like literally, they look like crickets almost. They're that big.
Yeah. No, they grow
That is
if you
huge.
let them. Yeah. Yeah. There's a slice.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. Everything is crazier in Asia. It's kind of like, oh, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Right.
That is some sort of super lice.
Now, again, like I said,
Super
be aware that the
lice.
language there is a language barrier between Filipinos. For example, just an example. Sperling Edwards says, "I'll follow advice from my wife and locals on most things about safety. but I draw the line with awang. Now, I can't verify what Sperlin Edwards is talking about. The reason being is awang can mean different things in Philippines depending on the language. The exact word awang means money, but the exact words awang, where I'm from, which literally is right where we're at, means window. So what I'm getting at is it doesn't mean you hear the same words. It means the same thing. That's a problem that I've told Heidi, or anybody who's trying to learn the language. It's easier to learn the language from scratch versus you know something about the language. For example, again, awang is a perfect example. It could mean window or it could mean money depending where you're at. It's kind of like Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
It's depending on where you're at, the exact same word means different things. They wear jackets because they want to be brown. Well, some do,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, that
I
makes
wore it
sense.
mostly for fashion, and most people I knew personally wore it for fashion. Just saying.
I think most of them is because of the heat and because becoming brown. Yes. I think they're worried about that. That's the makes cut in the sun.
If you take glutathione, you can't be out in the sun. It'll beat the purpose. That's
That's the pills, the whitening
the
pills.
whitening one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, if you dig a well, of course, you need a permit from Council LGU, clearance, land office. Yeah, and yeah, it's a pain. But once you do get it, again, be aware. Eventually, it will dry up. I mean, it's just reality. Um, Koreans have more money than Americans.
It is said
Well,
so, yes. Here, yes. There when it comes to the bars, restaurants and all of that, it is seen that way, yes.
well,
So Americans, they said, used to be the ones that used to be front and foremost. Now it's the Koreans. I mean, if you go on the Facebook, like forums and all that, now they'll actually make fun and poke about Koreans and that Americans are not important anymore. And they talk about that on Walking Street. That yes, they would rather have a Korean any day than the overweight Americans, according to the girls and stuff. So, in other words, the guys that come here, a Filipino would rather date a Korean than to date an American that arrives.
right.
Yes.
Now, regarding your question, maybe because Philippines attract low-income Americans on average, I wouldn't say that. the The thing is, Korea is just north of us. It's not that far. So what I'm saying is you have a higher probability of migrants from Korea because it's right there. Kind of like America has a lot of Cubans because Cuba's right there.
Well, it does, but so does a lot of other countries. A lot of
Right, but what I'm saying is America's really across the pond, literally. Like it's
just nobody wants to live in America no more, or certain countries, because it's just astronomically expensive. So there'll be, as soon as they get that digital nomad visa going and a bunch of qualifications, there'll be a bunch more people living overseas.
well, I'm talking about
So
statistics, probability. So I'm saying it's higher probability of
yeah,
closer nations traveling to another nation that's in close proximity.
yeah.
Bisanka says Mark Thorne wrongly self-confessed.
Huh.
No, it's a joke. Yeah, he's
Oh.
saying again. For those of you who said he's wrongly accused, it's not so much as that; it's what he said himself. That's the issue.
I mean, if Mark, I can believe more now than ever, okay, after my experience, um, that there is, I believe he was pushed, yes, but you still have to have some form of self control here in the Philippines. So that is for sure. But we already did that.
Oh.
Did you do that earlier? Or?
No.
Okay, so then he created a second account.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, that was pretty recent.
Oh dang!
So, do I believe he was agitated to that point? Yes. That'd be like somebody, I was telling George, approaching me up in the mall and saying things and going off. As much as I'm going to want to do something about it, I just can't, because all my immigration depends on it. And we don't have kids depending on it. So it's just something that still should have a little bit more restraint, but I get it too. But in the end, it doesn't matter the talking about him and all that. It'll be up to, immigration and his lawyer and all of that in the end for sure.
Now, here's the thing. This is okay. Ruby says, make sure your deep well is not in the same line as your septic tank in your property. Consider the contour of the land where your house is built too. You'll be surprised of how many people don't think of that over. Well,
Right, Ruby?
depending on who you hired, if they do this, then obviously they're idiots. But it does happen, and if you hired a good company, odds are they won't happen. Because honestly, you don't pick where you kind of pick, but not pick where you dig, because you're not the surveyor. You don't know where the water is. You know what I'm saying? You have to
But a
hire
lot of
somebody
right, but a
who
lot of
knows.
but
Right.
there's a lot of people that don't get those permits and they just do it
All right. They do
anyway.
have
So
machines to detect water, where it is, how deep it is, that kind of stuff. You don't decide, oh, I want the well over there. You do say that, and then they check, and they're like, okay, that's a good spot. And then um, they do a lot of things to make sure, like for example, certain areas they can't dig in that area because there's like a slate, a good layer of slate that they can't penetrate, that kind of stuff. Um, Ruby says, "Come on, peeps, give thumbs up on your way out. Thank you so much." Um, Thor says, "Why can't we all be cordial?" Yes, Veritability has a good point. Like building a house in flood-prone areas.
flood-prone
Yes, this is a
areas,
real
yes.
thing.
Hmm.
In fact, an expat, I believe, had a house built where it's kind of silly. He still built a house in an area where there was a house in the property where he had his house built. The reason why they left that house was because it got flooded over, like literally flooded over. And
Well, wouldn't you see something like that, like we seen the other day? If you go to look at land and there's a couple inches of water all around on the grass, wouldn't you avoid buying that property?
right. And the thing is, guys, remember, weather patterns are exactly that. They're weather patterns. And what I'm saying is, if something bad happened in the last decades, odds are it'll happen in your decade, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? Meaning flooding, that kind of stuff. Has it ever happened that property? If it happened in the last decade, odds are it will happen while you're still alive. Um, oh dang, Thora. But wait, let me go after Brian Vlogs.
I thought that was her that did. Kind of missing that.
Yeah.
Wasn't that you and that other guy that I thought that was you on that channel, Tara? Was that you? I thought that was you. I didn't hear, I don't remember they put your name on there, but I thought that Brian Vlogs is what you guys were talking about. But that might not have been you on that channel. And we're not going to cover it. That's something that's been going on for months, and it's being covered by other expats, and just something we're not. And especially something like that. That's another one of those her family would have to prosecute, go after him, don't have full details 100%. We know she was involved in the very beginning, even if it was for her thing. Do we believe he did a bunch of wrong? Sure, I'm sure. But at this point, it's kind of crazy on that one. But yeah, the guy definitely needs to be deported for.
Yeah. William Kreitzer says some expats are immature. They behave like teenagers. Some, actually, a lot of them do. A lot of them do. Ruby says, yeah, investigate the area of flooding or presence of damage not wearing your surroundings. Definitely. Anywhere. It doesn't matter, even in the US. You still have to do this. Because don't assume that the person you hired knows or will by default do it. You have to ask questions, even if you know the answers to it.
Mhm.
Um, oh, right. Yes, this is a real thing here. Need to clean the AC at least a couple months, but unit have a removable filter should wash gets there. There's a removable filter, and you have to clean the actual unit.
Yeah,
Either
so we
you clean
do.
it or you hire
Actually,
somebody to clean
yeah,
it.
they're
Yes.
actually claiming it's every 6 months. So,
Thomas
so
Bills. Good night, Thomas Bills.
hey, good
Thank you. Love you
night.
guys. Love you too, Thomas. The electric bill will be higher. The AC is innocent, clean, has to work extra hard. Yes.
Yeah, so then it must be her. She flat out at the bottom says, "I just want awareness on him." Yeah, here's the thing: we can't cover and that was never the full intention of our channel. Nor are we going to make only expat drama our only thing that we cover. And we seen him last year, but that's when she was involved, and that's why right now we're not going to get involved because we seen her with him and the things they both were saying. We've seen the original videos, and we told Andy that. We said we watched her in the beginning, and it's being covered by 2 or 3 channels, so we are not going to hunt down every single expat or go through every single, just not going to do it. So
Yeah.
we've had our share where there's been some issues and gone through some channels, and we get it and the awareness, and Andy's doing a good job on it. You and the other gentleman, we get it, the awareness and everything for sure.
All right. Now, Thora, again, remember there's always plus to the minus to everything. Crap, I have no ceiling. I thought it'd be more airflow with no ceiling. Actually, she's correct. Because if you don't have a ceiling, there is literally an airflow going outside from your house into your house. However, there's the pros and cons. There's more airflow, but it's hot airflow when it becomes extremely hot. So think of it as what do you call that? Like an air fryer. There's a fan in there, but it's only blowing hot air. So yes, there's a hot airflow. As Ruby says, the heat radiation from your roof will just go straight to your room. Ceiling is important, breaking that heat. Now there are rentals here that clearly state the house doesn't have a ceiling.
Yeah, they do a lot.
However, the bedroom does have a ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
So
and some don't, not even
we're
the
not making this up.
bedrooms.
Again, there are some rentals here that the entire house doesn't have a ceiling, but the bedroom has a ceiling just for that reason. I guess when it's really hot, you hide in your bedroom.
Travel Trends said, yes, I retired from that Brian Rose case because it's family's business now. It's not any of mine. And that's kind of where we're at because here's the thing. One, she passed away, and we're not going to use her cancer as the main focus that her husband did her wrong or whether he's a cheater. I don't have any of that proof. Then you have other channels bringing in other factors. And we don't ever want to base our case on a bunch of other channels bringing stuff forward. We watched that channel when they were living in Makati, and she was very forthright about asking for money alongside her husband. Now, could he have forced her to do that and all that? We can't make that judgment. If it's going to go to Rafi and all that, that's a whole. We don't want to put her on base because we seen her other channel just came into the limelight 3 months ago. And I didn't hear her say anything derogatory about him. You listened to some of that footage of her talking on the channel with with you and that other gentleman, and basically she never said anything damning about him, did she?
No.
So, but that's typical of a Filipino. But I remember her clearly, and we thought that they were both severely asking for money in the beginning. And we thought it was really odd, and they kept bringing God into it constantly and the light. And we were caught by their editing tactics and all the expensive items behind them and how they were talking about, this is our only form of money and we need this money for her cancer treatment. We're doing holistic and we really need your help. And it was a flat out where they both were asking for money. And that's when I told George we were kind of like, yep, we're out because from day one. So that's why doing something at this point, I just know, I think there's a third part to this.
The issue is it's
side.
not so much the Filipina. Just saying.
Right.
It's.
I think there's a lot going on. And if he did take the money, because what I'm being told is that he might have took most of the money and continued to collect money on her after she passed and after they weren't together. But does anybody really? We're kind of like at that point. Where's it's kind of like the regular guy thing and all the other things that have come up where people are saying we're siding. So if we'd have put her on, then it'd have been one thing. And so we try to choose the stories that we cover for sure.
All right.
And that's just, we've seen them together and yeah. So that's why, and we said that when Andy first came on and we were discussing it and we were both going back and forth, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I heard, and I told him that. I said, we seen them in the beginning together. And we said we seen several of their videos, and they were asking both for money at the same time in the beginning, and that's why. So
Right. Florida Islander says during that storm in Bohol, the airflow through kept the roof from being blown off.
uh,
She's talking about air pressure. There's something called air pressure during a storm that can cause, um, can cause like windows to break or your roof to fly off. Yes. Um, AJ says there's farmers who got stabbed by carabao horns and some have died too.
oh
Yes.
yeah.
And carabaos are very docile creatures,
I
right?
just don't know who actually thought they could kick. I bet it had something to do with videoing,
Well,
YouTube or something. I
probably,
bet
but
you.
either way, bisons are not something you mess with.
Evidently, they haven't watched
They are
movies
wildlife.
or read about them,
They
or
have attacked and gored people. Yes.
I'm sure there were signs up everywhere. I'm sure when they came through Yellow Park and they
No.
do
I'm
all,
sure.
I'm sure there were signs.
I'm sure.
And then I could almost bet they were a YouTuber or TikToker or somebody, because most people do some form of social media these days. It's not unusual.
Right. And like AJ says, farmers got stabbed by carabaos. Carabaos are very docile, domesticated creatures, much less a wild buffalo. I mean, seriously? I mean, come on.
Mhm.
Yeah, buffaloes are rather large, and again, they're wild. They're not domesticated like carabaos are. Um, Thor says, I also raise the height of the walls when I do decide on ceiling. Yes. Jimmy says, put Vicks on it. Vicks fixes everything. Technically, if you put Vicks on lice, it'll kill them. Technically. I mean, but anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
Travel Trend said it might be a Brian thing, not an April thing. They're early on videos, they were both, and she was even speaking in them. It's when she was totally healthy. It's probably a little over a year ago when she was not that skinny. And as a matter of fact, that's why I stated I didn't even think she had cancer until, because I don't track every single YouTuber. I mean, as people actually think we do. So she wasn't on our radar anymore, or we weren't looking for. Only after that was all brought up by Andy and everything did we actually see those videos 2 days ago. And we never doubted that she had it, but there was some doubt because of some of the things that were being said. They were more pushing a religious standard and a bunch of other stuff. But she too was, I don't know. To me, there's something off. Now, I still think the guy's lying. He's saying he's living out, that he's broke. He's living on the land. He's eating bananas and coconuts, and he's going on once again like he did in America. I think he's lying about his content and all of that. But I think,
what
there's a
somebody
lot of,
shows on their content doesn't necessarily mean that's the truth.
right.
For instance, example, okay, Bear Grylls. Okay. Bear Grylls show that he is a survivor. He lived off the land, yada yada yada.
Oh, most
When
content
reality,
isn't
he
real.
actually just ate with the crew.
Mhm. No, so it's
Trust me, my heart was broken when they exposed Bear Grylls because I was a big fan. Was
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, we knew his content didn't look right. Just like when we originally seen their videos, we're living in Makati, we're here in the Philippines. It showed a bunch of expensive purses behind her, and I'm like, looks like and what's the first thing I said? With all the items that were in the room that they were showing off was how much they had. They were eating out all the time, and I'm like, who would actually give this couple money when they're bragging about living in Makati and that their life was good, and they were always showing things off, and I'm like, it just did not seem right to me in the beginning. So
something was off.
so we
Yeah.
had seen that early on, and then it just flipped more and more into, I need treatment, here's this, here's that, you guys can send us money. And so
And again, it's more of him. That's the issue. It's him. It's never her, and
right, that's where I'm
that's the
at. But
problem.
she still was,
And he's still out there doing his stuff.
right,
that
he's
makes
still
sense.
out
Yeah.
there. So
Isankano says pre-COVID I was eating fruit bat adobo. Smelling Beehive says bison and ornery, very dangerous to keep a herd. You have to have a hybrid bison for safety. saying again the domesticated
No,
ones.
not
Yeah.
really. He said somebody further down, somebody new that we've never seen, named Josh, came in and said, "Is there a problem for people giving them money?" No, but the other channels are calling that FBI be contacted on them and that all this stuff be done. Just understand, you bring attention to him, you're going to bring attention to her. Just like the regular guy thing we said, if you bring attention to him, we're not saying not to report him, but we're not going to say, hey, contact the FBI, go to the embassy, go do all that. We're not trying to throw a manhunt on anybody. But in a case like that, you will also draw attention to her and then her family afterwards.
Right.
At this point, it is, they can still, YouTube can pull, if they start saying, as this gentleman did, please, and this is a smaller channel. I mean, I get that it doesn't matter, but take a look at the content. All he covers is Karen. His whole channel up to that point is Karen content. He has content showing other people's content of women fighting each other, women complaining, and that's all he covered. And then all of a sudden he came in and started covering this content. And that became his main focus. And we get it. We get people taking things on, but then I don't think the whole thing is thought through. You draw attention for him, we get it, but understand, we know in the beginning she too was asking for the money.
Right.
So all of a sudden their videos were removed, and then there was all this stuff in between. No, there's not. That's up to you. But understand that nothing wrong. You guys can give money. They do it on a daily basis, whether it's a Filipino channel, whether it's our channel, another channel, Mark's channel, all the different channels. No, I guess there's not. Everybody's going to give money, just like we did that whole thing about simping and guys.
Well, there's nothing wrong
and
with
all of
giving money,
that.
no.
It's up to each individual.
But
So,
like we said, it's how it's done and why it's done. And we're not going to get into that because that's not the topic of today.
as a matter of
but
fact, if people gave that money and continue to give it, and he was showing himself separate and deleted the content, and then her stuff came on, that's all up to each individual.
Yeah.
So that is for sure.
Right. And to clarify, we're not talking about Andy Omar's channel.
What? No, we're not. We're saying he's covering. We're not saying it's a bad thing.
No, I know, but you were talking about a different channel.
Oh yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
so,
We're
no,
not
I
talking
think
about
his
Andy Omar's
name's
channel. We're
last
not.
name is Weed or something.
Yeah.
So he's fairly a new
we're not.
vlogger,
Yeah.
but that's
Heidi was
new
talking
content.
about that channel, not Andy.
Well, whoever
Yeah.
watches Andy knows that's not what he covers. So
Well,
I'm talking about the
that's what
other
I'm
guy
saying.
covering
Because
this.
some people
We get it,
will
and we
misconstrue.
understand everybody
or-
has the
yeah.
right. There's multiple contents. I'm just saying that's where his channel was, and then it flipped over to this. I get he's trying to help, and that's just where it is. So
Yeah. That guy vapes
it's
again.
up to everybody.
Wasn't that cricket flower on Shark Tank? I feel I remember.
They've been selling cricket flour.
I don't recommend it. Just saying.
We tried some
personal
cricket.
preference.
We tried some cricket products before, like there was chocolate.
It tastes better
made of
to eat
cricket meal
an actual
and
cricket than
cricket
whatever
chocolate
byproduct.
drink, all kinds
Yeah.
of stuff. We tried
Just
a couple
saying.
things in Mexico just to try it. It's kind of odd.
Yeah, and
we
yeah,
gave it up.
and Bisangano says they ate paniki adobo. Again, that's a real thing. It's
I don't know
it's
with the
bats
bat.
too.
It probably is. I'd
Well-
probably skip that. Can't you get something from eating bats? I thought there was like a couple major diseases you can get from bats.
Well, it depends on
How
the
it's
bat
made.
species, where it's from.
Wow.
Basically, think about it this way: bats are no meat wise, they're no different than mice. So if you eat field mice, meaning if you eat mice that are or rats that are grown in a farm,
Is that what he's talking about? It's bony and leaves you wanting
yes,
more.
there's not a lot of meat. There really isn't.
Mhm.
That's with most. Oh dang! Peach Pepper says my all black Chihuahua is named Paniki, which means bat. Oh, big bugs. Yeah, they're talking about the head lice. Yeah.
Right. He still might have continued. There said April had him remove it because she wasn't getting any assistance from him. Yeah, but she probably initially on was. And we get that he's probably doing some foul stuff. There's no doubt in my mind. So, but we know in the beginning she was. but I don't know if people will separate, like the guys calling for people to contact the FBI and report him and this and that. And if they start looking at how the money was collected, and all these different things, I just think that's where things get tangled. So, and this is our personal opinion. People can donate, do different things, assist their family with the funerals. That's up to each individual. That is
Yeah,
for
Travel
sure.
Trend says, yeah,
I'm sure they
I
will need
retired from
everything.
the Brian Rose case because it's family business, not my business anymore. Yeah, Dunn Monroe says, where did you find the footage on ABC and Philly having discussion? Be aware we get sent a lot of stuff and information, kind of like Goldfinger, that kind of stuff. But we didn't
If you
do
want
that
us to go
story,
by the actual email, we already advised where we got that at, and the person claimed to be him himself, but we know he was in the footage, so it couldn't have been. So all the time, people attach their names to Gmail accounts, Proton, and they claim. I mean, we've even had people say they're the Filipina P, which we know is not true. We've talked to her on Messenger, so we go directly to the sources. And so this person claimed to be Ace Bachelor himself that he wanted it put out. Now, could he have got the footage and then sent it to us to try to make Brian look bad? That's a possibility. But unfortunately, with what went down in the threats to his wife and kids and all of that, that's where all of it's going to lie, is with the police to go after, if they hire the attorney the way he said he did, then there's going to be other problems. So, and I think him pushing the content that he does is a problem, but that's not illegal either. So, I don't like the content that he puts out, but that's about it. But allegedly it was from Ace himself, but I doubt it. I'm still not with that he got it and then sent it to us, because it's a Proton email. Anytime something comes from you Proton, that means the person doesn't want to be traced and it's untraceable. So, and there's no two ways. I mean, a real hacker can actually get through all of that, but for the most part, you can't get through the servers and stuff. So it's untraceable. They don't want, you can't even respond to them on it. That's what I call coward's email, is that you can't even say,
talk about
hey,
Proton, yeah.
yeah, you can't even reply back to give your feelings. It blocks. And I'm like, wow, okay. So you can't even say, hey, is this, nope, it won't let you. We learned that like 2 years ago. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a real thing. Ruby says, if you don't have ceiling in your house, one solution is install roof insulation to reduce accumulation of heat inside your house. No.
Yeah.
Now,
It's time.
install an exhaust fan. Even if you have a ceiling, if you install an exhaust fan, if you're not using AC, an exhaust fan does wonders. Just so you guys know, it makes a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just saying more in there. They're going back and forth on that. Ruby said, wasn't it believed that COVID originated with bats in China? Chosen One said, I'm addicted to YouTube. I didn't have a problem in the 90s, right? All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. We're going into the third hour. We're supposed to go out and about, and we were just going to do a 2-hour today. It's been a long week. So we're going to wrap this up. We appreciate everybody stopping in.
Thank
And
you
we're
so much,
working
guys.
on a
Appreciate it
special
so much.
project now.
Ted was with
Thank
us
you
today,
there.
wasn't he?
Yeah, Ted was
Ted
in
was with us
here.
today.
Scott
Michael
was in
Johnson.
there.
Scott, John Wheeler. That's right. Scott was here. Michelle was here. LG.
Michael, thank you,
Michael needs
Johnson.
promotion. Ruby. Bruce Davis. Oh, yes. Hey, Bruce Davis. Now, guys, Vapes, thank you
Hector,
so much. Interesting name, by the way. James Hardy.
Thomas
Thanks so much.
Beal was in the
Yes,
house.
Thomas Bills was with us. He had to go to YouTube Noob was with us. Yes. Josh Shabolt. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thora was with us.
Michelle,
Chosen One, of
John,
course. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you all. We love you guys.
Ruby,
Yes.
Jim Honor was in here. A couple extra friends that we know that are peeping. So there we go. Just kind of going through here to see who's
Thank you,
in
guys.
there.
Appreciate you so much.
Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you guys later. God bless everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.